Yeah,
I've got my glass of iced tea right here.
yeah, refill my water.
I've got my vape for the inevitable stress that's about to happen to me.
Yeah, but it's good conversations, learn from it.
hmm I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
I
I
enjoy it.
know. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, just starting out with it. I think we should go over like what we want the tiers to be named, how many tiers we want, things like that. Do you think there's an S tier in the game?
Yeah, I think they're. Although it's weird. I think S and A plus could be the same thing, if anything. You know what I mean? But I think for the nature of there has to be an S tier if it's being graded from S to B, is why I'm putting characters at S tier. I could totally just not have an S tier on this list and just make it go from like A plus to B, or even
Yeah.
actually remove B tier and put like A minus minus.
Yeah, I was thinking like I don't think there's a character that's strong enough to be considered S. That's like just so blatantly stronger than the rest of the roster, which is why I'm not a big fan of having S in there.
Why don't we, in that case, why don't we just define each ranking, right?
Yeah, we can do
Like,
that.
so S tier would be characters that are so strong, in my opinion, right? They're so strong that they heavily sway your decision to pick the character or deal with the character in like bracket, right? Like these are characters where they are so fucking good
Mm.
that it behooves you almost to pick them if you want to win.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
like a lot of season one Azal, would you say
Yeah,
is a good
like
example?
release as well, right?
Yeah. Or
Like
even
release
I
as well.
think even the patch after release, like you could definitely call it that.
Yeah, like as well for a good period of time was a character that was so powerful that it almost felt like if you're not picking him, you're making sort of an incorrect decision if your goal is purely to win the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So there's not really that character right now, you'd say, right? Because I
Yeah,
don't think there is.
I don't think there's any character like that anymore.
Yeah. All right. So let's delete that. So we got A plus, A minus, and B right now. I'm gonna change
Okay.
the B to a B plus just for placeholder. Uh,
Okay.
so what are you calling A plus? You want to just say best in the roster? Because I feel like if we're not talking S, then like every game could have an A plus.
Yeah, so I think that to start off, like what character would define A plus is a character that doesn't have significant weaknesses, right?
Hmm.
Uh, they may have weaknesses, but they're just not a big deal, right? They're like easily played around, and there is no matchup that is significantly detrimental to them winning a tournament set.
Yeah.
Like there's no matchup where they have to work that much harder than any other matchup in the game.
Like no three
And in fact,
sevens.
yeah, there's no 3/7s, there's no 4/6s. I think for these kind of characters,
Mm.
um, there might be one 4/6 at worst.
Yeah,
You know,
I feel like 4-6 still isn't that hard to deal with though.
and if it was me, I would say Zaslamel. I would put Zas as the A plus tier character that has the lowest amount of weaknesses
Mm.
out of the cast. I think he's not missing any tools, right? Like if you want it in the game, he probably has it.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? Like you want a horizontal mid, well he's got horizontal mids. You want
Hmm.
long range tools, well he's got that. You want the ability to pull your opponent close in, he's got that. You want the ability to push your opponent away, he has that too. Right? Like every tool and every type of situation that you could want to create, he's capable of creating in my opinion. On top of having like the a good grab mix up, command
Oh
grab,
yeah,
right? So
really
he's
good grab mix up. Yeah.
yeah, like so he's not missing a command grab even. There's like very few tools. He's just missing an I-10. He's missing a crouch grab,
Mm.
but almost everything else he has. He has whiff punish tools. He has good punishment tools.
I feel like his Oki is not amazing though. Like
Yeah,
as far as like him having situations where he can stop you from rolling, like those tools aren't really as significant compared to a lot of the roster.
yeah. I feel like if you look at it from the idea that like there are plenty of characters where specific moves create specific Oki situations that they can have real Oki in,
Mm.
but then some of their knockdowns don't, right? And
Yeah.
then Zaslamal has that. Some of his knockdowns give him real Oki. Some of his knockdowns don't. And
Yeah.
even the ones that don't give real Loki, I think there's like maybe his bread and butter doesn't have 6BB as a force block, but even 6BB I think is a force block on like almost every Oki, as part of what
Really?
you said.
Yeah,
Um,
like I don't know, just from playing Omega DR, like there were a lot of situations where 6BB was rollable, but I don't know, like I feel like that would just take more time of like watching Zas games and like how many of his bread and butters actually can create that situation.
So how do you feel? Do you think we would put like Zas at A+ as well?
Yeah, I think Zas is the best character in the game, so
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
he's
looking
definitely
at the
going there.
character, I've always felt like he yeah, it's bad because it's -8. I always felt like the character does everything. He does guard damage and a large
Mm,
amount of guard damage at that. He can create like mental frame traps with not finishing his strings.
yeah,
Um, his CE is, like arguably the best GI type CE or parry type CE in the game, right?
yeah,
Like between him and Ivy and I don't know, I think that's it actually. Right?
and
So
part of that is because of like the kit that's attached to that C. Like he's really gonna be out here killing your movement, bodying your guard gauge, things like that. So it's like even if the parry doesn't go off, and even if you don't attack into it, just having a CE block, it's already a bad situation because it's gonna do the guard damage, it's gonna give you the curse, he's gonna have the plus frames, and it's like
yeah.
wow, like even then it's still bad for me.
Yeah, exactly. Like even if you block that C, if you've decided to play around it in a correct way that doesn't get you killed by step killers,
Mm.
he can kill your step after blocking it. Like he's plus enough that moving afterwards is not a good idea either.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
and also step duck against that character is actually like kind of hard to apply compared to most characters because primarily
Because
because of
3A.
3A series. Yeah.
Yeah, step duck doesn't beat the main step killing tool, right?
Mm.
Like, and also, the character's ability, his damage output with curses is insane.
Oh yeah, if you get a launch with a curse, yeah, have fun.
Like 2 curses and 3 curses, suddenly you're looking at like half-life mid-screen combos or 90 to 100 damage mid-screen combos, and then 1 curse gives him 100 plus damage like ring edge / wall combos with 4-6B.
Yeah, and on top of like having these amazing fast step killing moves that are like very impactful, a lot of his verticals actually track really well.
They do.
Like yeah, 4-6B I'm pretty sure tracks almost completely to the right. Or to right side step, I mean.
And I think if I had to imagine like what weaknesses he does have, I always felt like one of his weaknesses is that he will pull his opponent in at negative frames often. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that creates, in this game, being negative in someone's face isn't necessarily a losing situation. You could always flip that on them with the tools of GI, reversal edge, Zas CE, tech ducking or tech stepping attacks. You could just flip it on its head as to whether they actually have frame advantage or not. But still, it is a weakness to constantly create a situation like that for Zas. You could lose the game if you just guess wrong constantly every time you pull your opponent in at negative frames, right? Because they can grab you if you guard. You won't be able to backstep the grab at that point. So that is a weakness, but I think it's totally overshadowed by his strengths.
Yeah, and it's like even when he is negative, he's still gonna have a lethal hit for auto GIing 2As and things like that.
Yeah,
that does
Oh
pretty insane damage, and even though it's a high, it's still safe.
Yep. All right, so
you gotta worry about that.
All right, we're starting on a good note. No argument there.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Zas is really good. It's kind of hard to argue otherwise.
Who do you think goes after Zas?
After Zas, I want to say like as every day passes, Raph is really like climbing up there for like one of the best characters in the game, in my opinion. Like now that I think about it more,
I could totally agree with that.
Like, yeah, especially. Go on.
we keep. This is why we're.
I'm gonna let you have it. Yeah, yeah, exactly. We got timing in game and timing when talking. That's great. But yeah, go ahead.
Oh my god. All right, you go ahead.
All right. But yeah, season 2. I feel like what helped this character a lot is prep quick parade, being an actual transition because now there's things like History B that have that like additional amount of defense to it, like even on block and things like that.
Yeah, he's kind of fucked up right now. So it used to be that generally what you had to deal with, if you blocked a launcher that would enter prep, it used to be that the things you dealt with was, is he going to mash like prep BB or prep 6B or whatever, right?
Mhm.
Is he going to mash a fast button, or is he going to enter shadow evade, right?
Yeah.
So I like most people, you would try to find an option that would beat one of the two, or some players would react to shadow evade with a BB or something like that.
Mhm.
Now what happened is, and I think it was possible, if you were looking and you were paying enough attention, you could deal with those two situations pretty well.
Yeah.
Now, on the other hand, there's quick parade. So now not only do you have to be ready to deal with shadow evade, so you have to react to shadow evade,
Mhm.
but you have to make sure you don't accidentally throw a BB or a mid into quick parade. So you can't just react to an animation that isn't BB. You have to see the difference between
Mhm.
quick parade and shadow evade, not throw a mid into quick parade, not throw a high into shadow evade, don't get mashed on, and then if you decide, if you freeze up and you guard, you have to be ready to step shadow evade and hold that mix up, or step duck shadow evade,
Yeah.
also step
Or you
duck
could hit
quick
it.
parade. Yeah.
Like you can usually
Or,
get like I-12, I-14 on Shadow Vid.
well, that's what I'm saying. If you freeze up, you have to be ready to step duck,
Hmm.
quick parade, or shadow evade. But then even if you step duck, like if you step duck quick parade, there is a safe low there with a quick parade A.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, it's just it's too many mix-ups, I think, on block for a launcher, because you're just assuming you block the launcher, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, he creates a situation where he gets to do a pretty high reward offense constantly with an extremely annoying defensive like reverse mix-up on you.
Hmm.
I think that makes the character really strong on top of everything else that was already really good. God tier punishment, by the way. Like this character has a
Yeah,
punish for
shit.
every decision you make.
With the lethal hit meter too, like that adds up. Yeah, and he also got his soul charge buff with season 2 too, so that's something we got to
Oh
be
yeah.
careful about.
Now I think it's a 6AB, or is it 4AB? One of the two is jailing
Well,
now.
yeah,
I think it's 6AA. 6AA is jailing, which made it so that 6AB cannot be reverse impacted in between.
and that's
Um,
insane.
yeah, and I think the worst part too is that they also increased the damage significantly of his Shadow Evade mix-up in Soul Charge.
Mhm.
Shadow Evade KK or KB does like 75 damage even on ground hit.
Yeah, and that's just straight up insane because now it's like you do have to guess like if you are grounded against Shadow Evade, and you can't just like risk mitigate and be like, okay, I'm just gonna roll.
Would you argue that that's actually, I think that might have created the strongest Oki mix-up in the game from a Soul Charge, because when I look at like other characters and their Soul Charge mix-ups, like let's look at a few that make sense, right? So you have Mitsurugi. If you guess wrong on 3B, I think you take like what, like 80 to 90 damage or so. And if you guess wrong on
Yeah,
the low, you take like what, 55 to 60 or so.
something like that. Yeah.
Whereas if you guess wrong on Shadow Evade KB, you take like 65. If you guess wrong on Shadow Evade B, you take at minimum like 75 to 80 damage. And if there's a wall, you take over half life.
Mm.
And the wall
Yeah,
could be really far away on top of it. You could also get wrung out.
and if he gets
Um,
right on blocking Shadow Evade B, like,
yeah,
yeah, good luck.
yeah,
It's still
exactly.
not
You don't
good.
even get rewarded for
Yeah,
blocking.
and Shadow Evade KB is also lower risk than Mitsu 1KBB.
Yeah, they're both really high risk. Shadow Evade KB, you know, you'll eat like a minus 22 punish. I think it's minus 22.
Yeah,
But at the
so
same time, like you'll be crouching, so you're not going to get like a 3B launcher as opposed to Mitsurugi's where you get like a full sidestep, like whatever punish you want.
exactly, yeah.
To add to that, I mean, if we're looking at the character's offense, he's fucking insane, Rich. Like this character
Hmm.
has a
Yeah.
god tier offense, but then he also has a god tier defense. He will, when he ducks your grab, you eat a shit ton of damage. When he sidesteps your vertical, you eat a shit ton of damage. You whiff a guard break, post GI, shit ton of damage. Uh, yeah, it's rough, man.
Yeah, so it's like on top of having an amazing offense, it's kind of hard to create holes in that as well now.
Yeah. So
So
yeah, I think we can just slap him up right next to
number
us.
2, yeah,
Number 2,
they're big chilling.
big
Yeah.
chillin'.
All right, who do we want to think is third? I think that candidates for it would be, I want to say, Ivy, uh, Amy. I'm not really sold on Cass being up there yet, but Cass is really good. Sophie. Those are probably the three that
Hmm.
I would
I
think.
I would probably argue Amy, Sungmina.
Yeah, Mina.
Yeah, Amy, Sungmina are two candidates for third place that I almost don't want to even put up like a third candidate because I'm so sure that it's one of the two. Because I think what's really important to me is if a character is extremely strong and easy, I put them pretty high. Um, but also like if a character is really good at a lot of things, but then also creates reverse mix-ups constantly, I think that's
Mm.
really strong in this game.
Oh
Which
yeah,
is why I think
definitely.
like Raphael is insanely strong because he's just reverse mix-ups the character plus really good when he's not doing that.
Mm.
And Amy's like that too. Amy's pretty much the same exact thing as Raph, just at a different degree. She's
Yeah.
reverse mix-ups the character, but also good at doing things that aren't reverse mix-ups. Um,
Yeah, one thing I think that could be played around more just in general is like how many of those reverse mix-ups are actually reaction checks in disguise. Like, are we able to interrupt prep options whether they go into shadow evade or they go into quick parade? Or like do we have to hold that? Because I know for shadow evade, at least season one, right? Like if you're on point, you could get your I-12, your I-14, whatever, right? But with the threat of quick parade, will that really create mental frames to negate that, or will there be an option after quick parade that'll beat whatever interrupt, which is something that I want to play around more in the future.
yeah, it's I think it's hard. But like until then, I'm pretty comfortable with Raph's placement here.
Yeah,
So between Amy, Sungmina, Ivy, and who was that fourth you said? I think it
Sophie.
was Sophie. Between the four of them, like I agree on Amy. Yeah, I agree on Amy. So since we
Let's
both
talk
agree
about
on
Amy
that,
then. Yeah,
yeah, let's talk about it on Amy. Um,
what makes Amy really good?
I think what makes Amy really good is so the number one, I mean, like this is like the core aspect of the character is her parries. I think like that's like number one, like what defines Amy as a character is her parries.
Yeah, the parries, and I feel like at least in neutral, the parries kind of enforce her tech crashes very well.
Yeah, so I think that the problem with Amy and the reason why she's so strong as a character is normally when you're a short-ranged character that's extremely fast, you have a lot of difficulty getting in this game,
Mm.
right? Like if you're Shunghua, you have a lot of difficulty getting in. If you're
Yeah,
Talon, getting in is very risky, and even to some extent, I think getting in with Cassandra has a slight amount of risk.
yeah.
I
Talon
think
less
with
this season with the addition of like 6BK and all that, but yeah, I get what you're
yeah,
saying.
whereas with Amy, I don't feel like there's a lot of risk getting in. I feel like she gets in essentially whenever she wants and gets in with a lot of attacks
Yeah.
that are really safe. Like she
Mm-hmm.
can get in with just like running up 2-2B.
2-2B.
She
Like
could get
4A is a
in.
good neutral tool just because of the range and the tech
Yeah,
crouch
4E
on
is a
it.
fantastic neutral tool. And yeah, she is weak before Roses. I think I can
Mm.
agree that she would probably be like an A minus tier character when she's not in Red Rose Perception.
Mm.
But then as soon as she gets into Red Rose Perception, she's easily one of the strongest characters in the game.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. And it's not like getting those roses is really different. Like you just get them from playing the game,
yeah, you
essentially.
get them from just trying to win.
Yeah. So
Uh,
like
what do you find to be the hardest part about dealing with Amy?
I feel like that little mini game of like, am I gonna use my great evasive offensive tools like the tech crouch on 3A, the sidestep tech crouch on 2-2B, the things like that. Like situations where she can step kill very well. Really kind of is well enforced by her parry game, which leaves a lot of characters or a lot of opponents in situations where they might have to give up their turn in order to create good risk to reward against Amy.
Yeah, I think the part that makes her parry so strong is she does this thing where if you look at another character who does a similar situation, right? Like some character will do a 2A and then a GI. right?
Mhm.
So like let's look at two-way. It's a tech crouching special mid, and it gives frame advantage on hit and whatever.
Yeah,
If you block the two-way and they GI, you could whiff punish the GI. Whereas if
exactly.
you block 3A from Amy and she does a high parry and then a mid parry and then a low parry and then a mid parry, or she
Yeah.
could do a mid parry into an attack. If you freeze up and you try to, let's say you try to react to the GI and then 2A her, what if she
Mm.
just did high mid? What if she just high parried and then mid parried? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because then
And
you're gonna mash a 2A into another parry, and her rewards for landing parries are pretty high. She always has a way to steal a turn back. There is no way for her never to steal a turn back, and it's way lower risk than any other character's ability to steal a turn back.
I agree with the lower risk part, but you can't mid parry into mid parry. So if you see
I
mid
meant high
parry,
parry into mid parry.
oh well, yeah,
Like
okay. I
like
thought
let's
you
say
were
you're
talking
trying
about like
to
all parries and all that.
yeah, let's say you're trying to react to her you want to like 2A interrupt, right?
Mm.
When you see her do a parry, if she knows that that's what you're trying to do, she can just do high parry, mid parry. You'll see the high parry. You can't discern the difference that quickly and then do a 2A interrupt fast enough to beat other options. You're gonna just see a parry and then do a 2A. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And that would lose to high parry, mid parry.
I feel like it is possible to do that though, to see what parry it is and be like, oh, it's a high parry. I'm gonna AA.
I don't know about that, but that's something you'd have to see in practice. I don't think it's
Yeah.
possible. I think when you block a move and when you're trying to not block mid parry AK, but
Mm.
you're also trying to interrupt mid parry and also trying to like deal with the situation as optimally as possible. I don't think that you can be in the situation where you see a high parry and then go, oh, okay, it's high parry instead of mid parry. I'm gonna AA instead of 2A.
Yeah, but like at the very least though, there are some moves where she can only use one kind of parry. Like she can only mid parry after
Yeah,
certain moves. Where it's like, okay, well, it's pretty obvious that this is mid parry. I'm gonna do a mid to interrupt it. So like
yeah,
outside of
exactly.
neutral, then like at least there's that.
Yeah, so she creates a big guessing game in neutral. 4A is also fucked up.
Yeah, especially in red rose.
Yeah, it's a 0 on block or 0 on hit,
Mm.
super long range tracking low that does a very good amount of damage for what it does.
Yeah.
And a lot of characters in this game can't optimally punish that, or at least they don't get a reward for punishing that. They get like 18 damage.
Yeah, and then soul charge like nightmare can't punish it at all if it's for a
Yeah,
or for a yeah.
yeah, completely free move against Nightmare. So yeah, I totally see this character as like a. Oh, she doesn't suffer in the damage department with Red Rose either.
Oh
Like
yeah.
before Red Rose, yeah, she does. But after Red
But
Rose,
yeah, it like compensates for it.
dude, after Red
Definitely.
Rose, she gets I think it's like 101 or like 98 damage for her A plus B lethal hit.
That's pretty wild. Like,
Dude, she gets up there, man.
and it's not just that. It's like, okay, well, yeah, um, like just landing a 3A, you get an even better mix because, like, oh, okay, well, off of 1B, I can get 4BB now, and that just picks up with Red Rose, and it's like, it just like skills are damage up so
Yeah,
well.
she does have one weakness that I feel like does affect her in some way, and I feel like the weakness will be that if when you're not getting tagged by tracking verticals that are safe on block and you're not, getting counter hit,
Mm.
I feel like she does suffer in the damage department, and I do think now while I do think that Siegfried's a bad matchup for her, I don't think it's that bad, but I do think that she does suffer in some matchups in like an annoying way,
Like which
because
ones?
I think Siegfried is an example of a matchup that she suffers in. I think that Nightmare actually does very well into her. I
Really?
feel like because everything is armorable except for 2-2B and 3B.
And
And I know
4A
that those moves are like,
and 1B. Yeah,
well, I mean, yeah, you can't armor those.
yeah, and her Blackstone isn't even really bad enough on a lot of things where she'll like when she does get armored, she'll have to like take the damage. Like she just blocks it. Like yeah, Nightmare gets a terror charge and all that, but she doesn't like straight up die. You know?
Yeah, I think the damage disparity is kind of hard to deal with. Like, but I don't know. Does she even suffer? She might not. And I think
In that,
the new Amaryllis 2B Shadow of Age shit's fucking annoying. It's really stressful to deal with in neutral.
hmm
Um, it added like more nuance to how you interact with her. Yeah, okay, whatever. I'm confident with third place. I agree with you.
yeah, let's put her there. So I guess who are we working with? Yeah, Mina, Ivy, Sophie.
So I don't agree with Ivy, Sophie, but I don't think you agree with Mina. So I think let's,
I feel
in
like
that
I
case,
really could be convinced for it.
okay. So I guess I'll start with why I don't think Ivy is up there. Um, here's the thing with Ivy. I feel like one of the things that when you have gained a shit ton of experience in fighting Ivy, you come to this point where you realize that she is overcommittal whenever she has to use her close range attacks. Okay.
Mm.
Um, most of her attacks at short range are very high recovery or linear and bad on block. So when you look at like, and I think you have to play this game where you kind of sit in and out of close range with Ivy. Like you're
Yeah.
willing to put yourself back into mid range. You're willing to backstab Ivy,
Mm.
and then you're willing to run back into Ivy. You want to make this thing where she's uncomfortable using, because like she doesn't really have a solid mid range. She has a really good long range and really good short ranged moves that do not interact with the mid range at all in a good way.
Mm.
Um,
It's like if you are at the mid range though, then she's like, "Oh, okay, you're there. Let me just 6-6-A you out of there, or 6-6-A hold."
sure. 6-6-A, yeah. Well, no, 6-6-A hold is the problem. If you're at the mid range, right, and she commits to 6-6-A hold, and you at that moment have stepped forward and guarded, she's about to eat a launcher. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
She's
that's
about
true.
to eat a launcher. For at best, she was gonna do like 35 damage to you and push you away. And all you had to do to make that situation happen was step forward and guard.
Yeah, but
I
even then, she can play around that. Cause
She can. I'm not saying she's not without options. I just think that that lowers her because I think that not being able to implement that strategy is the reason why she's so strong.
yeah, that's true.
It's a
And
hard strategy and requires a lot of experience against a character to implement against her. And if you're not able to implement it against that character, then she's really hard to deal with. But if you are able to implement it against Ivy, I think she's like high A tier, possibly bottom of A plus tier.
well, okay, the reason why I want to put Ivy so high is that she is just amazing at so many things without really having like a clear cut weakness. If that makes any sense. Because look at it this way. All right, she has one of the best backsteps in the game.
Mm-hmm.
She has some of the best range zero mix ups in the game. She has some of the best long range mix ups in the game. And like on top of that, like she doesn't suffer in block punishment. She doesn't suffer in her ring out game. Like she doesn't suffer in Oki. Her Oki's actually really good.
I think
And
that she suffers really badly though at the close range. I know she may have good close range mix-ups, but you know, at the end of the day, these are mix-ups. You do get rewarded for guessing correctly. If you block, if you end up blocking her 2-2B, right, then she's gonna get punished pretty hard.
oh yeah, 2-2B definitely, but
You know,
that's
if
kind of like
you,
a I want to die move.
I think that 2-2K is reactable when you're looking for it.
Hmm.
Um, so I think that's risky for her to throw out as well. And I think that ducking is a natural choice against her as well. She doesn't get a lot of reward for ducking opponents or for your opponent ducking unless she's willing to immediately just do a launcher, like from crouch 1B.
Okay. Yeah, we had someone ask, what is Oki? And yeah, it's pretty much the options you have when your opponent is knocked down, and how
Yeah,
you can press your offense with those options.
yeah, exactly. Okazeme is just like, how do I kill my opponent while he's on the floor?
All right. So the question is, if not Ivy, then who?
If not Ivy, so I guess we could move on to Sophie.
Okay.
Because that was one of the characters that you wanted, and the reason why I disagree with Sophie. And you could tell me, you know, because I think Mina is the one, but you could tell me why you disagree with Mina, and then we could still, you know, see onto it.
Okay.
I think Sophie is people are focusing too hard, and I know it's important, but too hard on the soul charge. I think outside of the soul charge, like what does she really have that's like that big of a deal? She's like minus on hit, like she's either minus or zero all the time. Um, she's pretty bad at pushing frame advantage because if she wants to push frame advantage, she has to push frame advantage with low reward attacks that can be backstepped. And if she doesn't want to push frame advantage, then none of her moves have pressure. If she hits you with from crouch 1K, the plus 2 on hit low, she has two choices. She can do BB, or she can do KK or 2A. And the only thing that you're probably not going to backstep is BB. And if you get hit by BB, it's also 0, and you can step BBB on hit. You know what I mean?
There was some move that Zeph was using on me though after that situation on hit, where it would not only catch my backstep, but it also catch my sidestep too. So it was completely locking down my movement. It was like some high kick.
It's I think it's K6. I don't know what the input for that move is, but it's a high kick that will catch your backstep and your sidestep. But then you're creating the situation where like she's gonna commit. Oh, 4K. Okay, 4K. But she's gonna commit to a high. Like now she has frame advantage in your face, and to deal with all of it, she has to commit to a high that doesn't even do that much damage. It hits you for like 20 damage, and yeah, she gets frame advantage, but that's it. Yeah. She is making a hard read on your choices with a high attack and isn't getting a large reward for it. And I think that's the problem that Ramon has expressed to me a lot with the character. And he doesn't think the character is bad, but he also doesn't think the character is very strong either. He thinks that this is the strongest iteration of Sophie that isn't Pyrrha.
Yeah, I wouldn't really call that a hard read though, because like, well, for one, if it ends up getting, yeah, it's safe on block. If it gets ducked, she's not gonna die. You know,
depends on the character. I mean, if it gets ducked by Raphael, she dies. If it gets ducked by Servi, she dies.
Yeah, but like relative to like how most moves get whip punished, like compared to those, like it's pretty decent recovery on it in that situation. So like that's the risk, but it does cover all movement, and if they press, then chances are it's going to catch that too.
I think the identity of Sophie has always been the idea of this character that is very good at punishing and is also extremely safe and creates a lot of situations where your opponent cannot get damage on you, like where your opponent can't even like really make that much of a hard read to get damage on you. There's a lot of 6-6B force blocks, right? Like you can't wake up sidestep. Yeah. At worst, you could wake up GI, and then it's up 2. Even her post GI has an identity of removed risk with 1K hold. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because of that, I think that it damages her to have to do this thing where on hit she has to assume a lot of risk, because I think that getting a high duct in a flowcharty type situation like that move is risky, right? But I mean, even aside from the move, like, what is the power of the rest of the character? She has God tier punishment, which is good. But, you know,
6-6B.
God tier, 6-6B.
Her soul charge. Yeah, block and with punishment, really.
Yeah, both of them are fantastic. You know, she's God tier punishment. Her movement's also very good.
Yeah, her Oki, she can really run guard damage very well.
Yeah, the command grabs are very good too. Right? Yeah. These are strong identities. But what is her weakness? Her weakness is, in my opinion, her neutral has no pressure, in my opinion.
Really?
Like, yeah, her neutral, if she hits you, just everything is kind of backsteppable, man. Like, everything is easy to avoid, and none of it is that damaging. In fact, I feel like what gets people killed by her is just they make a mistake, or they get grabbed, or they duck into 6-6B. Like, that's the entire identity of the character. But unlike Cervantes, she doesn't have +6 frame data to enforce grabs in 3Bs and mids and, you know, like all this shit. All she has is 0, +2, -2.
Yeah,
her
but
it is so weak that I can't see her as an A+ tier character.
Like, that doesn't, like, I feel like it's really a character where it's like she, like, her movement and her punishment really make up for that. On top of her having auto GIs, which help her in a lot of situations.
I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily say that like that's such a uniquely strong Sophie thing. I mean, Cassandra has like the same level of movement. In fact, might be even better than Sophie's. Shares many of the same traits of being hard to punish and having good punishment, both on block and not on block, and on whiff. I mean,
yes, I'd definitely say Sophie's is better than Cass's though.
I mean, in terms of block punishment, maybe. In terms of whiff punishment, Cass probably has better whiff punishment, in my opinion, because, you know, like 6BB when she has Divine Force. Yeah, 6BB Divine Force, 236B, and the Oki situation created after that. Her command grab mix up is scarier, in my opinion, with Cass. She has better ways to like enforce frame advantage. Like Sophie's strong, yes, but she's not a plus tier strong from my perspective. And
Okay, yeah. That being said, yeah, actually, I could see Cass being better than Sophie.
yeah, because Sophie, you know, like
Just
the thing
slightly.
that puts her at the point now where people can think she's top tier is her soul charge. And
Yeah.
if we want to talk about that real quick, her soul charge is retarded.
Oh yeah,
Her soul
it's
charge is A6B levels of stupid.
yeah. It's like both of those moves have like are like strong in their own way, but they feel the same to deal with.
Oh, also, if since we don't have an S tier, I could put Servi in front of Sophie too. I think Servi's
Yeah,
better.
I could see that because definitely defensively, Servi's soul charge is much better.
Yeah.
And it also has that offensive capability to it now too. So okay, yeah. Let's leave Sophie. Why do you think Mina should be fourth then?
I think so. When season 2 came out, I was like, huh, Mina is bad now. This character is probably not going to be that good. She lost a lot of the dumbest shit in her kit. She lost her ring outs, whatever. And then I played against her so much now that I've thought to myself, like, instead of having a range 7 ring out, she has a range 4 ring out, but then a billion more ways to deal guard damage to you on knockdown.
Yeah.
And a harder to deal with mix up on Oki because one of them requires you to side ukemi, then duck, then punish before the mid hits you.
Or tech crouch.
Or tech crouch. Whereas before, the other one, if you side ukemi'd it, all you had to do was just step and then launch her.
Yeah, so that means that you're going to end up getting like a lesser punish from it now. Because
yeah, exactly.
Right now, if I want to cover all options, I have to tech and then 6A plus B. When before I could just tech and then like actually get my 3-3B counter it.
Exactly. Right? Like she covers herself more now. She still can ring you out with a 50-50 with her L sweep. She can still spend her meter to ring you out on knockdown.
Her soul charge is still very dumb.
Yeah, her soul charge is still bonkers.
Yeah.
And people are getting better with her, and more people are starting to implement some of her tools that weren't being used. Like ducking a grab and getting 100 plus damage.
Yeah. That lethal hit's actually insane. And it's not like insanely hard to do. You don't have to buffer an 8-way run input and then do it or anything like that. Like you just see the grab and do it.
I thought about this yesterday, Rich. She doesn't suffer from a horrible matchup, but she is many characters' worst matchups.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, what really makes a character good or not is their matchup chart.
Yeah, I think she's up there, like right past Amy. She doesn't really suffer in any specific matchups that are bad. There's no reason for any matchup to be bad because she doesn't lack anything that's like significant that would make a matchup bad.
I think her backstep isn't amazing though. So like her like operating in that long range could hurt her, but she doesn't really suffer up close really, especially with having an I-12 2A.
Yeah, exactly. I was talking about this with Josh, and I think the fact that she has an I-12 2A and Ivy doesn't is what separates them from being as good as each other. If Ivy had an I-12 2A, she would be ridiculous. But because she doesn't, I think Mina sits in that same position. They both are a range 0 mix-up zoner, except one of them has a I-12 2A that has plus frame data on block, or on hit.
Yeah, it's just like the backstep difference is very huge, and I feel like should be talked about too between Mina and Ivy though, because Ivy's is way better.
Deal. Although I think Mina's pushback is on more moves. I think she has harder pushback on more attacks than Ivy does.
Yeah, like with 6-6B hold,
really.
Like 6-6B hold's comparable to Ivy 6-6A, things like that. Well, I've actually 6-6A kind of pushes back more, but there's more risk to throwing out a 6-6A hold at certain ranges. So
I agree with demons. Can we just add Nathan's face to this tier list and then like Photoshop like a glowing yellow eyes and a scar, and then
there's like a 4G in the corner.
Yeah, we'll call him Gunkors of Riveria.
Yeah, we'll put it in like
of Brooklyn.
In triple A plus or triple
Yeah.
S plus.
Triple S plus.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so could you see Mina at like past Amy, or do you really think that like maybe Sophie or Ivy should take that spot?
I could definitely see Mina being better than Sophie. Better than Ivy though. Yeah, I feel like even in their range one mix-ups, Ivy has more risk under optimal play. So yeah,
Okay.
I'll give fourth to Mina.
Okay. And then I guess moving on. So let's keep going down. Oh wait, what about Aswell? Do you think that he
Azal.
exists at the same level as like Sophie, Cass, Servi, Ivy nowadays?
Yeah, I think he's a contender for top 5 if he's not there. Yeah, let's talk about Azal. So, yeah, season 2, he's definitely not the obvious best character in the game anymore. Thank you, Okubo, and the developers. But
Yeah, seriously.
yeah, he still has very good weaknesses, or not weaknesses, very good strengths. Like his frame data compared to his range is probably better than anyone I can really name. Like 6B having that range and being I-14, his 3B being I-20, doing that much damage and having that much range. Even his AA being I-10 and having that range is insane.
The character definitely seems like one of the things they wanted to do for him was like, oh, you're not in this stance all the time. Well, this stance now has the best moves of that frame data, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're not going to be in sword all the time, so we're going to give you the best I-10. We're going to give you the best I-12, the best I-14, I-16, I-18, etc.
Yeah.
As compensation for not being in those stances all the time.
And he's still gonna have Almighty and Soul Charge, and after like his throws and you know, just situations like that.
What's up, fam? Yeah, so
Yo.
like the thing with Aswell is I still feel like he doesn't suffer bad matchups due to the nature of his kit. He just suffers matchups that he has to work harder in, rather than like I think the nature of when I watch Aswell struggle, it's because Aswells are fighting a character that has a lot of pressure that doesn't allow the Aswell to interact with neutral as often, right?
Or they have amazing punishes for his things.
Yeah, or they have amazing punishment for his weapon art attacks.
Yeah.
Aside from that, it seems like he just maintains the same playstyle and stratagem against the entire cast, and generally will play mostly the same game, and it's a good game to be played with as well.
I feel like they didn't directly hit him that hard, but instead they brought a decent amount of the roster closer to his level.
Yeah, I think the lower damage on the 3B / Axlo mix-up. So I know Axlo took like a 5 damage nerf?
Something like that. It was either 3 or 5, I forgot.
But I think that adds up when you also take into account that his 3B lethal hit does like 12 less damage.
Yeah, and there's some situations like if someone's kind of deep into yellow health, where it's like season 1 Axel would have killed, season 2 it doesn't anymore, and they end up with a pixel.
Yeah, and then they're able to mount a comeback.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I think Aswell could be a contender for now. These positions get a lot harder. Like Aswell, Servi, Ivy, Sophidia and Cassandra can like all exist here together.
Yeah. So let's move on to the lower tier then.
Would you agree on just moving? So let's move those characters up to A+, and then later on we can like give them nuance.
Yeah. Because like once we're done, we can still like move shit around. Like that's what works.
So that way, like we don't have to like see so many characters. So like we can move like Servi, Cass, Aswell, Ivy, and Mina.
Yeah.
Up to A+, and then we'll give them nuance later.
That works. Ivy. Got Mina on there. Servi. We thinking Sophie may be up there, or just gonna talk about her later?
I think because you definitely feel quite strongly about her position there, we'll move her up there, and then like later on, we're gonna give more nuance to the rest of them.
Yeah, because she's definitely like gonna be in the conversation. Yeah,
like I will absolutely give you that.
All right, so yeah, Aswell's strengths, he pretty much kept from season 1. Like, his whiff punishment is insane. Like Spear is gonna have its weaknesses still. Like they didn't really give too much to Spear. But yeah, the sword's gonna have its great punishment on block and whiff. Like just sword art in general is so useful. Like having a move that's fast with that range is just wild,
Yeah.
and it's a launcher.
And you're better equipped to talk about him too because you play Azal. I have still don't know how to do his combos, and he has easy combos. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like Azal really is like the perfect secondary character right now because he's easy to pick up. Like he's low execution, he's very strong, and he doesn't really suffer in that many matchups. So
Yeah.
if you are playing a character who is like who does have those few like super struggle matchups where it's like I don't want to play this anymore, like seriously consider Azal because he can really help even season 2.
Also, the one character that's an A+ that we didn't get to talk about was Serby, and I'm biased, so I will let you handle your view of him at A+, and then we'll get back to him later if I disagree with. But I don't really disagree with his current placement, so I just want to hear your opinions on Serby.
All right, well, yeah, just going over his strengths. His block punishments, not amazing, but yeah, strengths.
I think it's not amazing except for I-12. His I-12 block punishment is probably the best.
Yeah, his A is great. But what really makes a character strong is just like kind of like just only a few moves really, because 2A plus B you have the lethal hit potential. It's coming in at I8. It's a great Oki tool, save, recovers, and tech crouch on a character like Cervantes, who also has wall rising K to deal with and his post GI to deal with. And yeah, with the lethal hit potential on that, like there's times where you can get caught like throwing out a BB or throwing out an AA, and then just 2A plus B is right there. Or if your character has a lot of light attacks and stance, like Maxi, yeah, that could be a thing that you end up getting whiff punished with, and the lethal hit just goes off for a grip of damage and all that meter.
I think the deal with Serby that in his like power level is that this is a character where the more that so some characters they get to make a correct decision and get like an ample reward. So some characters they will step in attack and they get their 50 damage, launcher knockdown into Oki. But then Serby he steps it and he gets his 80 damage knockdown into Oki.
Yeah.
Serby, some characters will catch your timing and hit you for 40 damage or 35 or 50. Serby hits you with a lethal hit.
Yeah. And so not only can he fish for that, but it's on a move that covers so much and doesn't really leave him.
It's on a move that I think is like the best don't duck, don't do thing attack. Even if you remove the lethal hit from 2A plus B, it's still a move that should be used a lot.
Yeah, exactly. But it does have that lethal hit too, which is
wild. The lethal hit almost feels like a very powerful bonus attached to the character. To me, I think it does make up for him lacking lethal hits everywhere else, though. Yeah, I think his lethal hit game when you ignore 2A plus B is kind of whack. Because there's K slide A and A plus B that are really good. But K slide A and A plus B, a lot of post GI characters have it, and some have it better. Sophie and Nightmare have a better post GI in my opinion because A plus B lethal hit does more damage on both of them. Or in the case of Sophie, it does the same. And their post GI options are more unique. Like Sophie's is safe, you're a 1K hold to beat GI, and Nightmares can work on level 2. Whereas Servy's only works on level 3, and his A plus B is very weak.
Yeah, and he doesn't really have that much to work with for level 2.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree with a lot of what you say about Serby. Yeah. The only thing I guess like he does hold a significant weakness to characters with fantastic zoning tools and backstep. His approach game is very, very stressful.
Yeah. But like even then, like even if those characters kind of stop him from running an offense, like he does really have amazing whiff punishment and shit like 3B, I think it's B plus or 3B plus K, IGDR, things like that. So if they're the kind of character where it's like they're
where
they're
they're
kind of
throwing
weak
out
to
moves
yeah.
and they're willing to whiff an attack when you come in, then yeah, he could punish that significantly.
Yeah, because they don't need
He's
to be offensive, and neither does Serve in a lot of situations.
he's
So
a
he can
really
also
hard
play that
character to
game.
fight.
Yeah,
Servy's a really hard character to fight because I think he's like the biggest contender for makes you feel shitty about trying to apply timings. Right?
yeah.
Like he's the
Oh
number
yeah,
one character in the game that makes you feel like an asshole for trying to press buttons.
yeah. Which
Um
is why I'm so glad 6A plus B is a level 2. Otherwise,
yeah.
it would be hell.
Yeah, and that's the worst part about his matchup chart is that like you'll notice that some characters are so good because they just lack level 3 attacks.
Yeah,
Um
like Azal.
yeah, like as well. And then some characters are so bad because everything they do is a level 3 attack.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really think that Servi fucks up Keelik because of that. I think Keelik has a shit ton of level 3 attacks, but then also, unlike some other characters that have a shit ton of level 3s, doesn't outrange Servi.
Yeah. Uh, on top of that, like it is like pretty applicable or not applicable, but it's pretty reasonable to get Keelik to whiff because if he wants to run his offense, then like there is going to be some risk to it, whether he's throwing out like wall rising bees or shit like that.
All right, so we talked about every character in A plus tier now, and we'll move everyone past Mina like a round later.
Mm-hmm.
So let's touch up on like A tier, right?
All right.
Also, party whoop. I just meant Serbi's like specific matchup chart that I have in my own head. You can see
Yeah.
it later when we've developed telekinetic powers.
Exactly. All right. So who I think would be contenders for being up next? I can make a case for Mitsurugi. Yeah.
Siegfried.
Yeah, Siegfried, can't forget him. Yeah, that's how I feel about his spot too.
I think Maxi.
Yeah, Maxi. I'm putting him in A definitely. Let's see who else. I'm starting to think Taki actually, or well, Geralt for sure. Taki.
Oh, Geralt, 100%. That character has gotten so much stronger in the new season, in my opinion.
Yeah. What do you think about Taki?
Yoshi. That character is so good. Oh,
Really? You think so?
I think so.
I'd put him in A minus.
All right, so we'll disagree on him later then.
All right. Yeah, you think Taki would go in A?
I'd put Nightmare before I put Taki.
Okay. You think they would both go in A?
Yeah, they both would go in there.
Yeah. Yeah, Nightmare is still pretty strong too. All right, so let's start with Rugi. They did a lot of shit to him in season 2. Like introduced that Sure Blade mechanic for landing a CE, or not landing a CE, but just like using it in general, which is pretty crazy. They did make it safer. They made it I-14. I believe it's -20 on block now, but it's like, how often is that CE really gonna get blocked at a high level?
Yeah. His CE, I think no matter what they gave to it in compensation, losing I-12 is a significant nerf to that CE.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I think that if it was still I-12, he'd be a easy A plus tier contender.
Mm.
It's just like now I think Mitsurugi is still very strong. He still has the best backstep in the entire game, bar none.
Is it? It's better than Tira's?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Tira gets she is like Ivy. She has both the best backstep and the best backwalk in the game.
Okay.
Whereas like Mitsurugi just has hands down the best backstep.
Yeah, and honestly, backstep matters a little more than backwalk.
Yeah. So my deal with Mitsu, he can do a shit ton of pressure. He has fantastic mix-ups. He shits fucking damage when he mixes you up. If you get hit by, he has a bunch of applicable lethal hits.
Yeah.
And the character, he has a strong poke game, and the only neutral thing that I feel like he suffers in is his ability to catch step past range 1. Right?
Yeah, because there is that like kind of safe range where like Mitsu doesn't have too many options to catch your step.
Yeah, the character's super strong, but it's hard. Even though I feel like I'm very good at fighting the character, I don't know how to describe what his weaknesses are. They just feel apparent to me when I fight him. Like I feel like he assumes a lot of risk when you try to play him very aggressively, right?
I feel like part of that's because him more than a lot of characters, he kind of has to commit to either like high or low horizontals or mid verticals.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's exactly it. Like he's either getting stepped when he tries to catch your ducking, or he's getting ducked when he tries to catch your step.
Yeah, like he has 3A, but it's pretty stubby.
Yeah. So like the character's definitely strong. Sure, a blade gives him an insane, like probably the best like meterless punish in the game.
Yeah,
At I-12, like,
like
but then
even without it, right? Like he still has decent block punishment though, because like 12 he's got AA, 14 he's got BV. I don't know what he has for 16, but I know for 18 he has 6A plus B, which is amazing for an 18 frame.
I think for 16 you do 6B BB, like the
Oh yeah.
you know, the 6B poke poke, and then he enters like stance, right?
Mm.
Um, yeah, the character's just he seems very like basic, good, has a bunch of good tools, does very good damage,
Yeah.
rewards
His
you for making right
AA
decisions.
is amazing, especially on a kit like that.
Yeah, he plus 6 AA. You know, he's like him and Servi are the only ones in the game
Yeah.
to have plus 6 frame data on their AA.
Mm.
Um,
You can get in with
I
shit
don't.
like I think the input's still 66K, is it? And that on block is like still a decent situation for him.
I might put him lower though, because I think it used to be that when he had an I-12 CE, he fucked up a lot of characters because of it. But now that he has an I-14 CE, he doesn't like fuck up these like his good matchups aren't as ridiculous as they used to be.
Yeah,
So
I feel like
a
I feel like I
little
can
bit
play the
lower on A
game.
tier.
Yeah, I mean we can still move this around. Like I just threw them on
Oh,
because
okay.
of this order. Oh yeah, speaking of that, I think we should go in order. The rest of A plus.
Uh,
Let's
oh,
see.
you want to order them now? Okay.
Or we could do it
So
later. Yeah,
yeah, I
let's just
felt
do it
like at
now.
the I think the like tiny like are they better than this one character or the other one? We should just save for the very end.
Yeah. To be honest, like actually, nah, I'd still leave Sophie A plus.
Okay.
Yeah, we can say that for then.
Do you think there are any other characters that sit in A tier out of this list?
Let me look at the
I
rest
think
of them.
we only disagree on Yoshimitsu
Yeah.
for A tier now, right? Dude, come on, man. That character, he has 4A, A plus B. They said they nerfed it, but they turned it into a 90 damage safe counter hitting option in neutral. What the fuck?
Yeah, and it's still reverse ring outs very well. The fact that like you can't even like do anything about that move on block is pretty insane. I'll give it that. But like
And the character has the best Oki in the game, in my opinion. I think he has, like, hands down the strongest pressure on knockdown out of the entire cast.
he does. It's just there's so many situations where he either has to commit to catch your backstep or like he just straight up can't.
I've always felt this way about characters like Yoshi, that Yoshi is the type of character that if you play him like a high baller fucking, you know what I mean, like Boom does, or even if you play him like Lolo does, you're gonna do this thing where no matter how bad the matchup is because the opponent is a zoner, you're gonna land a knockdown on them, and then they're gonna guess for their fucking life until they find a way to get you out.
Yeah.
And he has a billion ways to land that knockdown. His I think it's 6-6K or 3-3K. It's the move that looks very similar to Mitsu's 3-3K.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that one actually
He's
knocks down on
yeah.
naturally. Yeah.
He's just gonna like he's gonna fucking try his hardest to get that one knockdown, no matter what character you are. Whether you're a character with insane backstepping, whether you're a character that can zone him out forever, he's going to work really hard and fucking scream like a fucking fat kid running for an ice cream truck. You know what I mean? Like he's just gonna barrel in towards you, knock your ass down, and then beat the living shit out of you.
Yeah. That's true.
So I always feel like he can't catch backstep argument. Like, and there are a few moves that can.
Yeah, definitely.
But he just has to make a hard read to do it.
And then sometimes those moves don't really get a good reward on backstep because like the sidestep at the end just nullifies it.
Yeah, like 4KB.
Yeah, 4KB, his B slide A, I believe it's 4-4B, that on counter it, yeah.
I feel like his ability to nullify bad matchups through knockdowns and mix-ups, combined with when he has a good matchup, it's really good for him right now.
Yeah, it is,
Um,
and his meter usage is very good. So
his
there's
meter
that.
usage is amazing, and also his Soul Charge got the buff of Dragonfly AB being non-RI, or I'm sorry, not steppable, and the
Yeah.
only answer is to get a level 1 GI with reverse impact. I just can't see him
Uh
at A- here.
yeah, that mix up is definitely tough. And all he really has to do to set up his soul charge mix up is get them to
Medkay.
block Medkay. Or sometimes like if you're Sly, you could just straight up Dragonfly in neutral.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
just
that's definitely.
yeah,
Oh,
advance with
also,
that.
I think when you have your back to the wall, I think he's the most capable character of the game of getting a wall spot.
Better than Serve?
Yeah,
Like if
because
you
if you sidestep with serve, like if serve gets you to the, let's say he 2A's you with your back to the wall, right? And you just immediately sidestep. Even if he does, the fastest wall splitting tool that serve has is an I-14 kick, so it's a 4KK, right? But if you sidestep, you'll get misaligned from the wall and you won't get wall splat. Whereas if you're fighting like Yoshimitsu and you're in that same situation, like Yoshimitsu is +6 in your face, if you sidestep, you're still going to get wall splat. You're still going to get AA brave edged into the wall no matter what. You'll never misalign him from the wall splat with like AA. And he has a bunch of safe, like relatively low risk ways to do it. Like AA brave edge is relatively low risk. 8K is
9K,
relatively
yeah.
low. Yeah. These are all like relatively low risk ways of pushing you into the wall that create situations on block that still leave you into getting wall splat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, what's that? You wanna press a button after his what's it called? Like after you block 8K, well, you're still guessing to not get wall spot. You know, he could still just do his like 4K. He could just mash another AA brave edge. You would have to like mash your AA to beat that.
Or you could GI the third hit or RI the fourth hit of a
Yeah.
brave edge.
Like I just think his and his wall splat damage is obscene. It's like really high.
Oh yeah, that's wild. Especially if he has meter, which I mean he's gonna build. But like the thing about serves is like with 668 plus G, like it's an actual 50-50 to get walled, which Yoshi can't really do.
Most of the most experienced players against Cervantes will never place themselves in that 50-50 because it's usually very low risk to avoid it. If you get knocked down when you're near a wall, it's very low risk to just roll and then stand guard. Like roll away from the wall and then stand guard. The worst situation that'll happen to you is he'll run up into A plus B you. But then if you get to a point where he's running up into A plus being you instead of enforcing the wall mix-up, then he's not enforcing the wall mix-up. Suddenly it's not a mix-up for you anymore.
But
like suddenly,
you could say the same for Yoshi though, right? So say same situation, you're back to the wall, but you're rolling. He has 3B to catch that roll.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I could say the same thing about Yoshimitsu, but I think the nuance between the two of them is that Yoshimitsu's a lot better at not even getting you knocked down near the wall and just wall splatting you because you tried to move in neutral. Like you're not knocked down, you just got hit by him and you're near the wall. Like I think the bigger problem with Servi is that like no matter what you do, there's never really a situation to 100% enforce your wall mix up unless you land 6K counter hit with the wall behind them. Whereas with Yoshimitsu, I think if you just tag someone with like 3AA, then and they're like near a wall or something, then at that point it's like 100% like legitimate. Like he's gonna start mixing the shit out of you and try to get a wall splat.
Yeah.
Besides that though, it's more so that he can just wall splat you with 2-2B.
With 2-2 Yoshi?
Yeah, Yoshimitsu. He could just like 2-2B, 4A, and then like, you know, like from mid-screen is what I'm saying.
That.
Like he has wall carry into wall splats. Whereas Servi, that's the main weakness with Servi in terms of his wall game, is he never carries you into a wall splat. You get wall splatted because your back gets pushed to the wall. You know what I mean?
At the end of the day, like I feel like their mix-ups with his opponent's back to the wall are pretty comparable in strength. Like they both have their strengths, they both have their weaknesses.
Yeah, I don't know. I never really felt like the wall mix-up game was where Servi's strengths lie.
Oh, well, like yeah, that might not be his defining thing, but I feel like it's kind of as strong as Yoshi's.
Jay Clade is here.
Hey, what's up, J Clay? Yeah, what's up, CJ? Hi, Evan. But yeah, yeah, and Blow. Yeah, I think that Yoshi is definitely A though. Yeah, now that you bring up all that shit.
Okay, and now before we go A minus, because I think A minus is going to be way bigger than B plus. Who do we put in B plus?
Well, I feel like we should still talk about the characters in A because we didn't really do that.
That's true. Yeah, sorry, I'm just getting ahead of myself.
Oh, that's cool. So yeah, Siegfried.
Siegfried.
I feel like he's definitely worse off than season 1. Thankfully, part of that's due to the addition of RI, since you can RI the bubble now, and I believe it's still level 3, isn't it? Once you do
that. Which move?
His Dark Legacy 6A plus B.
Yes, you get a level 3 GI when you RI it. The introduction of RI was definitely a huge benefit against Siegfried. It made Dark Legacy actually have a counter now.
Yeah, thankfully.
And I think the other problem is that a lot of characters have gotten a lot stronger, which also, will naturally weaken the best character in the game.
Exactly.
The best characters in the game.
Yeah, you saw that happen to Azal and Siegfried, who were pretty much some of the best for the entire season 1, or for at least most of it.
I think Siegfried's strengths lie in this character just guesses and forces you to guess and makes a lot of hard reads that kill you really quickly. I don't think he's actually that good of a long set character, right? I think he's pretty bad in first to 10s. I think that this is a character that excels in first to 2 sets.
Yeah,
in tournament sets, this character is insane. You will get 80 damage taken off your health bar because you 2-8 into a base hold in neutral. You know what I mean? You will just randomly step in neutral and get 6A8 and wall splatted and lose half your life.
Yeah, and I feel like that's what you really want in a first to 2 set, is just a completely solid game plan where it's no matter if your opponent knows whatever amount about it, they're still gonna have to take risks to stop it, or they're gonna have to just be straight up about it.
Yeah, your opponent has to make a lot of defensive reads. I think that what makes a first to 2 character really strong is that they run an offense and the opponent has to make defensive reads to win against that character. And Siegfried's that character. You want to beat Siegfried, you have to make defensive reads, not offensive reads.
Yeah, but at the same time, if that character does have amazing defensive tools, or amazing punishment and things like that, then it's not an issue.
It helps a lot.
Yeah.
I just think that's always been the nature of a good first to 2 character, is that you want to be the person guessing while running an offense than the person guessing while defending yourself.
Yeah. So in general, I agree with that. There's just some outliers to it.
And he also still has the comeback mechanic.
Yeah. His frame data is also pretty decent on some things. 3K is not great, but he still has 3A4 that pushes back and pretty much resets to neutral against a lot of the roster. He's got the IAGA being I16 plus 2.
Yeah, he also is one of those characters that really, really hurts some matchups in the game, like Changhua. I think he's the owner of one of the few 7-3 matchups in the game.
Yeah, so he's got those, and he doesn't really struggle too hard in any matchup that I can think of. I'm trying to think of who really fucks up Siegfried.
I think Serby. I think Serby fucks up Siegfried.
Really?
Yeah.
6-4 level or beyond that?
6-4.
Oh, okay, then that's not horrible.
Yeah. I've always felt like Serby was just a well-equipped character to deal, because Serby has always been the defensive read character, I think, in this game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that because the natural good playstyle to have against Siegfried is defensive reads, Serby excels in that. He gets the most damage for defensive reads, and he has a good poke game.
That's true.
So I think that's good against Siegfriid. He also has very good kicks, so he never has to worry about base hold AGI if he wants to poke with kick attacks.
Yeah, so you won't really be seeing that in a lot of situations. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. But still, if his worst matchup is a 6-4, and those are few and far in between, and the rest of them are like even or beneficial, then like yeah, he's definitely deserves a spot at like one of the first 8 characters.
Yeah, I think he also exists, like he has that same concept as Amy and Ref, where he just reverse mixes you up every time you block something.
Yeah, or sometimes when he whiffs something too, depending on
Or
like
yeah,
your range and speed that you're working with.
which is
And
a really powerful
reactions.
tool to have in Soul Calibur.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
what about Nightmare?
Nightmare. Yeah, I'd say I'm putting him at A. He still kept a lot of his season 1 strengths, but like what happened with a lot of other characters, it's just that like some characters were made better, and also I feel like Blue was talking about this on Twitter not too long ago, that the RI mechanic hurts Nightmare pretty hard, with especially with like a lot of his strings in Night Terror Charge, like NLS A plus B and things like that. But at the same time, there's things like Grimstride A plus B from Terror Charge, which you can't GI the second hit anymore. So you pretty much have to perfect guard it and still take the guard damage and all that.
Yeah, I think like Nightmare's biggest strength in this game is shitting out like excessive amounts of damage. Just
yeah.
like he's just that character. He's like that character that, because like for me as playing Survey, I think Survey also fucks up Nightmare. But even when I'm playing Survey into that character, I'm constantly scared because like did I fuck up a sidestep and get counter hit by IAGA? I just took 50 damage. Did I block IAGA? I just took 10% guard damage. Like,
yeah. Also, he has a decent amount
of sidestepping, and then did he just catch my timing with 6KK? Well, now I just got wrung out almost anywhere in the game, or wall splat, or I took at minimum 90 damage.
Yeah,
like,
and that tech crouch really helps too. Like just to throw it out.
And he has like Nightmare has so many weaknesses, but he has so many unique, powerful strengths in this game. He has armor. That can totally fuck up some characters in this game. Like he destroys 2B because of his armor mechanic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And like, yeah, those strings can kind of make up for the weaknesses because like, yeah, while he has like no I-12, he's also kind of making it hard for his opponent to use their I-12s and their I-14s because of his armor mechanic.
Yeah, and his grab game is very strong. Both grabs do a lot of damage, and one of them gives very good Oki. Yeah,
the front grab.
Yeah,
like the back grab is not as hard to deal with unless like your back's to a wall or a ring edge, just because like you can tech after and there's not really Oki you have to deal with. But still, like he can kind of run his throw game on which one he wants to pick, like and keep that into consideration if his opponent's thinking about that.
Yeah, him as a character, like, so he has this thing with him where he carries you to wall splats and ring outs constantly, right? Like, which can make he benefits from stages, more so than a lot of characters in the game. Like, if you get like for example, Geralt stage, there is almost no position on that stage where you cannot be rung out. The only exception is when you go from the ring out side all the way to the half wall side, like across. Like that's the only direction that you cannot be rung out on that stage.
Yeah.
Like Dre has actually a video where he landed 66KK from the half wall side, like the two half walls that are left and right opposite of each other.
Yeah.
He landed 66KK from all the way to one side and then rung out from all the way to the other side.
Yeah, and so that's like almost like a reverse ring out in a way.
Yeah.
So
that's fucked up, and I think a character that has that level of just stealing around from you constantly, there's just and the insane guard damage on top of it. The ability to fuck you up based on your timing. Like if he lands moves on your timing, you get murdered.
Yeah, and he also has a lot of very good force blocks with things like Grimstride K and Night Terror Charge. Like, and it also does a significant amount of damage. It's like force blocks where it's like, okay, yeah, I blocked it, but it's still a bad situation for me.
Yeah, it's just I think the character is really strong. I think what hurts him from not being A+ tier, like the main reason I could just not see him at A+ tier is, yes, he lacks an I-12. and he suffers from bad matchups. If he didn't suffer from bad matchups and he had an I-12, he would probably be beating the shit out of Zasalamel on that A+ tier.
Yeah, or something like that. But yeah, his like where his strengths lie, they lie heavily.
Exactly.
So
Taki.
yeah, let's talk Taki. She got a decent
You probably
amount.
know more about this character than I do, so I'll let you run this one.
Yeah, I still don't know a great deal about, but yeah, just talking about her strengths. Her block punishment is amazing. Just like right off the bat, 4BA, being like I believe it's 36 damage. I-12 punish is pretty insane. Like, and she can do it from crouching too. So covering that, she's got an I-16 3B. That does like I believe it's a little bit lower than standard launcher damage, but still like that being at I-16 and having like decent range is great. Which means that on a level 2 GI, she actually has a 50-50 for ring outs, and I think that's something that's very valuable.
That is actually, you know, I keep forgetting that about that as like a very, very strong strength, but having a level 2 post GI ring out is kind of fucked up.
Yeah. So yeah, there's that. On top of that, her post GI, she's always had the A+B, that being the bomb.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, most characters, right? Like, they throw out their A+B. You make the read for it. You get decent counterplay for it. Now there's RI, so I mean there is, but like still you do have to burn that bar in order to make it so it's not like a bad situation for you once you block her A+B.
Yeah, she yeah, I don't know enough to talk, so I'll just like wherever you want to put her. You know, I agree because I don't know enough, but the only thing I could say is the character feels really fucked up to fight. In just because like 3B just 3B reverse mix up on block. She could just stalk her in neutral and put you in a mix up if she feels like it.
Yeah.
Like, and her new attack, I think I don't know the input. It's like 6/6 A+B or something like that. It's that like leaping thing that has the extension where one is a guard break horizontal mid and the other one's just a -8 horizontal mid. Like,
yeah, it's only -8, which is just wild. On top, speaking of 8, she also has an I-8, and yeah, we talked about that earlier.
yeah, she's one of the few characters. She only character with an I-8, which allows her to defeat some stances in a really fucked up way. Grow, she can defeat Med K as a mix-up because you know she'll just I-8 him out of the air.
Yeah.
And I think because of that, like the character definitely sits in A tier. She no longer has the problem of getting in anymore. By the way, she could just get in whenever she wants.
With that new I wish I knew the input of it. It's like 6/6 A+B or whatever. But yeah, the one we were talking about earlier. Yeah, that helps a lot. It's very hard to whiff punish, like seeing the first part of the move and then going to whiff punish the second part and the counter hit because it does come out that fast, even if they do that charged version.
Yeah, it's really nasty. Just the character is like really nasty to fight.
And she's always had A6 lethal hit, which is amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Like, there's a lot of situations where her ring out carry is actually pretty good too.
Yeah, she has really good ring out carry off like 6/6B lethal hit. Yeah, the character just feels really strong, but at the same time, I don't know enough to like place her anywhere. So you know, I trust your judgment here at putting her at A. I don't see her as she no longer suffers from range because of her ability to get in. She does a shit ton of damage still.
Yeah, and her soul charge actually is pretty good in my opinion. Like especially with all those moves. Like you could do, I believe it's possession B, which has insane tracking in soul charge, and it's plus on block, forces crouch,
and
all that.
Chips like 20 damage.
Yeah, like the character is really good at staggering, and it's kind of like where you have to mash out of things or take some sort of risk to stop that.
I also think she's a god tier first to 2 character as well, just because of the nature of reverse mix-ups, fantastic 3B.
Yeah.
To ring you out off your timing, good punishment, can be played both defensively and offensively, forces your... And also, we didn't talk about it, but her new BA and BAK and BA6K has created a mix-up for her neutral poke game.
Yeah, it's not huge, but it definitely does help.
Like it's really frustrating to deal with. BA possession also, so now she can like just and then A6 punishment is ridiculous as well. I just think the character is really fucking strong.
Yeah, definitely.
But I still think that she's not strong enough to sit in the A+ tier with everyone else.
Yeah, which is wild because like, yeah, it's kind of hard not to like when talking about an individual character. It's kind of hard to not compare them to what was season 1, just because we were so used to that. Where it's like, okay, you can name so many characters in season 2. Like if you threw them in season 1, they'd automatically be like top 3.
Yeah, like right now, season 2 Taki existing in season 1 would be in S tier with everyone else. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
like,
I get what you're saying, but
she's so good.
yeah. I'll move on to the next one. Talk Maxi.
Maxi. Oh boy, you're the expert, but out of bias, I want to be the one to explain, because you explained your feelings on what makes Servi so strong. I want to explain my feelings on what makes Maxi so strong.
Yeah, go right ahead.
So my feelings on what makes Maxi so strong is when I fight against Maxi, I feel like, so number one, he has very good range. Okay, the character does not suffer in the range department.
Yeah,
he has 6A plus B, which if you're a character that relies on run-up grabs to get damage on defensive opponents or to create pressure on defensive opponents, 6A plus B feels extremely hard to deal with, because you start to do this new thing where you run up and sidestep to avoid 6A plus B, and if he doesn't do 6A plus B, you sidestep again because he tried to delay 6A plus B. And then you get worried and you sidestep another time, and then he grabs you because you've done nothing at his face. Like 6A plus B is so important that it can create such weird neutral situations like that. But ignoring all that, because that's my personal gripe as a Servi player, the character shits out fucking damage, which is a very good strength of his. Like the character hits like a fucking freight train.
Yeah, he definitely has the potential to. Yeah,
and he has very good ring outs. This character carries people to ring outs in ways I don't see from people other than like Nightmare, sometimes Taki, or like Azwell's 2-2B lethal hit. But he carries them on ring outs from stuff like 2-2A counter hit, or I think it's like
behind lower B lethal hit.
Behind lower B lethal hit is one of them, but it's the BB string, the one that has like BBK or something like that. Like,
right outer BBK.
Yeah, right outer BB.
Or right outer BB and the right cross A. Yeah.
You know, like he can spend meter for ring outs as well off with punishment.
That's really good.
Which is a strength. That is like, that's one of the reasons why I think Mina is so good, is the ability to spend a bar to win a round, guaranteed, when you see it happen.
I feel like what has to be taken into consideration more about that is like how impactful spinning that bar is for winning the round. Because if it's not super impactful, then it's like, okay, well, it doesn't really change much.
If you win the round, that's just impactful. There's I feel like because you have to consider, like, let's say I knock someone down at the ring edge, right? And I backstep and CE them, and they have more than half life. They take a lot of damage, but they live. If you backstep and CE me because I did a 2A or something, when you push me to the wall, I lose the game. I'm sorry, to the ring edge, I lose the game.
Yeah.
I just lose the game. That's it. Or if you convert off a combo into your held CE, and there's a ring out behind me, I lose the game. They did nerf it though, thankfully, because it was very strong before, and now it's definitely way more reasonable. It's not something that I would ever call for a nerf at this point.
Yeah, because usually if you can't see the edge, then it probably won't ring you out.
Yeah, so I think now people are going to talk about the reverse impact thing, and I think that the reverse impact thing harms players who focused on beating his stances through mashing or 2Ks more than it harms players who just tried to evade his stances. Yeah, I've always tried to evade his stances and backstep and sidestep his stances, so the reverse impact doesn't matter to me anymore.
Yeah, because it's like
any more than NG did.
Yeah, because if you're playing around invading them, right, then essentially you're turning Heaven's Guard into this catch-all button, or from this catch-all button to essentially a neutral guard that he just blew away half a bar on.
Yeah, but if you're a character that has a very garbage backstep and you're almost required to press buttons to interrupt certain stances or transitions, then it could feel very fucked up to fight Maxi.
Oh well, yeah, like even a lot of his improved frames where things like left outer and right outer catch back stuff, like a lot of those are matchup specific. So like if your character has a great there's situations where like
where Servi can backstep but no one else can. Well, like Servi and Ivy and Tira can backstep but nobody else in the game can.
Servi, Ivy, yeah. And like that's kind of weird to me because Soul Calibur doesn't really strike me as like a character specific heavy game, but yeah, it is what it is.
So I just think that like for me the hardest part about fighting Maxi is I know his stances pretty well now on how to defend myself against him, but I still find myself in positions where the player is good enough at just changing up the pace of the match and pressuring me mentally.
Yeah.
That sometimes behind lower transitions become very real, and I'm not ready for them. And sometimes I'm sitting there just like getting grabbed because I keep waiting for something to happen. The character just feels very strong, but not without weakness now. I'm definitely, he's down here now, right? Like I agree with A tier, and I used to put him in top 5 tier.
I remember last month, like everybody was going off about Maxi. I'm like, does anyone want to say why?
Well, for me, it was never the RI. It was just always been the fucking fact that this character like kills me off one decision that I did incorrectly, or sometimes when I correctly sidestepped, but then got hit by behind lower B anyways.
Yeah, and I feel like season 2 they're like starting to get Maxi right, because I was always under the impression that Maxi was a character where you could really like there's a lot of things where you could like react to and interrupt and everything, but what you can do is impact what people can react to based off of what they're anticipating or what they're predicting and play off of that, which I feel like Maxi applies that concept better than any other character, especially now.
I think, I just think that this character can do a lot of fucked up things in a tournament set. I think that a lot of people will say that, getting counter hit by 2-2A is unrealistic. I disagree. I think getting counter hit by 2-2A is a very realistic scenario that happens to everyone all the time.
It's realistic, but it shouldn't be happening that often.
Because, like, you have to consider, like, considering the range that move has, and it comes out of a character that is good at pressing buttons when you run into his face. For example, one situation that I'll do against Maxi a lot is I'll like run up and instantly sidestep and then grab. But if a 2-2A was already buffered, I don't have enough time to like run up, sidestep, guard at that point. I've already spent too many frames like moving, and that's where 2-2A tends to hit a lot of people. Yeah. Is that they've waited a little bit and then they commit to an option, and 2-2A has already begun its buffering, begun its startup animation, and it's too late now. And then you take damage.
Yeah, because since it is an A-way run move where it's not too fast on top of that, it does like take a while to come out, so he's vulnerable for a while. But like to make up for that, the startup of it, like for a decent amount of frames, it doesn't look like anything at all.
But between wall carry, wall splat damage, ring out potential, and I really think that 1B is a fantastic poke now. Against so much of the cast.
Yeah. Depends on the character and the range and all that.
If you can't backstep out of it, that move is fucked up. I'm happy I could backstep out of it. But yeah, I don't think A+, but I definitely will be happy to see him at the top of A tier at the end of this discussion. Yeah. When we're done here.
That's around where I would put him too. I'm just so glad that like he's actually good now.
Yeah, he is.
I've been waiting for a while.
Like they made his stances more real. They gave him a very good, move with Heaven's Guard. His soul charge is a little bit better, and 7 stars resurrection is actually worth getting now.
Yeah. I feel like there's still some people that overrate Heaven's Guard though, because like there's a frame so there's a frame range where you can hit him out of it, he burns the bar and he gets counter hit and Heaven's Guard doesn't trigger. There's how Maxi's recovery works is he's not able to auto GI or anything after the initial recovery ends, and I feel like if there is a bigger effort to identify like the recovery of all of his moves, where he can't even press or he can't even auto GI, where it's like, okay, well I can swing into this anyway, then that would really help.
Yeah,
And yeah, like just handling the attacks that come out afterwards is another big thing that I feel like could be worked on.
yeah. If anything, yeah, no, I agree. So, yeah, that's my view on him.
Yeah. So that's Maxi. Who haven't we covered in A? Geralt. Yeah.
Geralt, man, this character is like, so he is the character that is trying to play neutral in Soul Calibur, and it's clear that he was designed to be good at neutral. But
Yeah.
I think they really made him so good at neutral that it feels like, so like his AA, it just has a shit ton of range. His BB has a shit ton of range. He has a safe horizontal mid. Granted, 3A does not have a lot of reward on hit.
Yeah.
Even on counter hit, it doesn't have that much of a reward. It's just +2.
It's kind of like that with a lot of pokes where they're not amazing on hit.
Yeah, it's just the character just feels like he was given all the tools necessary to excel in neutral. 6BB is essentially a safe launcher that does chip damage on block and pushes you back to his optimal range. His 1K is a fantastic low poke.
Yeah.
His 6-6A series is a very like just good way to catch someone running in on you or even like backstepping.
Yeah.
6AB is an I-16 counter hit, like horizontal, high mid.
Which move?
6AB.
Oh yeah.
Like and like this was all good, and we all knew that this was good back in season 1. None of this has changed. Oh, he also has a fantastic grab range, right?
Yeah.
None of this has changed. Everything is the same.
Well, they did nerf Jordan.
They did nerf Jordan. But then in season 2, what did they do? They were like, okay, well now when you land 6BB, when you land Ard, when you land all these moves, you start getting new lethal hits.
Yeah.
And now his 1B lethal hit, once he has that equipped, you're looking at a character that creates a 50-50 mix-up where one of them does like 90 damage as soon as he has that lethal hit stocked up. I think the character is definitely A tier strong. He might have a few struggle matchups, but I don't think there's any matchup where you just shouldn't play Geralt there.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you wanted to be a character specialist, then Geralt's definitely like a decent option.
Yeah, then Geralt's totally fine. Like he may have a bad matchup, but it's not bad enough. He has plenty of really good matchups. I think this character, despite the plethora of level 3 attacks, is arguably Survey's second worst matchup in the game. The reason being is that despite the level 3 attacks being everywhere, they all have more range than 2A+B. Like it becomes really hard to land 2A+B lethal hit outside of timing. And then aside from that, like I can only speak for that matchup because I don't play any other character in the game because I suck. Like
you got light.
Yeah, I feel like in the case of Geralt, this is a character that excels at not assuming a lot of risk, which is inherently a good thing when you play a tournament character. Yeah. You don't have to worry about making a lot of risky decisions. You don't have to make a lot of reads. You just play your game, and the onus is on your opponent to make like huge defensive reads.
I feel like it's not really removing risk to the degree of Zast though, because like it's still gonna be worth it in a lot of situations to try to sidestep Geralt, especially with his pokes not being that amazing on hit.
Yeah, but a lot of those situations where you try to sidestep Geralt, you also are going to deal like he has moves that will also catch your backstep if you had chosen to backstep, will catch your sidestep as well, and are also safe on block, right?
Like 6AB?
Like 6AB. Like it's like if you could sidestep, but he didn't really have to make a read to beat your sidestep. He just said, I assume you're going to either press a button or you're going to backstep or you're going to sidestep, so I'm going to do this one move. And what happened? You blocked it? Big deal. You sidestepped, you got hit. You backstepped, you got hit. You pressed the button, you got hit. Unless you mashed an AA or something. Yeah. Right? Because he doesn't have like significant frame advantage.
You can GI the second hit though. It's just hard to confirm it's going to be 6AB after 6A.
Exactly. It's just a difficult thing to do, and you could do that. Yeah, the character's just so solid. There's no. It's not that he's ridiculously strong.
Yeah.
That's not his strength. His strength isn't being very strong. His strength is just being so solid.
Yeah.
And Party Wolf has said that he thinks like baby neutral is a good way to explain AA and BB and like all these kind of moves.
Yeah, like
because
smaller...
they're just unwhiffable attacks.
Yeah, it's like what Boom would describe as small caliber. Yeah.
Yeah, like his AA, like 6A, like a lot of the 3A, these are all like extremely difficult to whiff attacks.
And having those standard, AA, BB, and having things like 3A, like really helps in first to two situations, and like 6BB, things like that.
Yeah. And then 1B lethal hit, like that I think that propelled Geralt like really high.
Yeah. So that's pretty much Geralt. You pretty much summarized my thoughts on him. You want to go order A like right now, or do you want to wait till then?
We could do it at the end.
Okay. All right. So going on to B. I think or not B, A minus.
Also, I think that's an interesting question, so people understand the tier list more. But Party Wolf was like, "Hey, what's the point of having more than half the cast being A minus to A plus tier on a tier list?" From my perspective, and the reason that I feel like that this ordering is fine, is because when people see, and this is just a mental thing, it could be anything. It could be we could rate it from C tier to F tier if we wanted to. You know what I mean? Or we could rate it from S tier to B tier, or we could do A, B, C, D. I just think that the mentality of when people see a D tier character or a C tier character is they get this impression that the character is just not viable. And I think the impression that we're aiming for is that the characters are viable. Like when you see a B plus tier character, you think, oh, if I got a B plus on a test, I wouldn't be upset. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that on top of that, I think that the game is probably the most balanced that it's ever been. So it makes sense to keep, the letters pretty close. And it's not like, oh, we're going from A to D, so there's going to be like a huge difference in between those characters.
Exactly. This is a good way to show that the characters aren't that far apart, while also showing that the lowest tier character is viable. And also showing that the highest tier of characters are not ridiculous.
Yeah.
Exactly. True, but I mean, I think you'd be even more upset if we saw like if everyone was like A, B, and then there were 2 S tier characters and 2 C tier characters, and people who played C tier characters would just be like, "What the fuck am I doing? Why am I bothering?"
Yeah.
Right.
And
now, when you look at this tier list, you can go, "Well, I should bother. If I really like this B tier character, I should totally play them."
Yeah, and honestly, like this is placeholder for now. Like we might end up like sliding more people down or changing the order, but we're just getting things out like in general for right now, and then once it's all said and done, we're just gonna move everything around. Like we might end up making like a new tier or deleting a tier or whatever happens, but yeah, that's how we're doing it.
Depends what you're looking for from a tier list. Anyways, like
okay, going on to the next one. I think we should throw Keelik in there. Any disagreement on that?
I could see A minus tier for Keelik.
Yeah. Hilda, Talum. I was actually considering throwing Talum in A. But like my biggest problem with doing that is I feel like this season her matchup chart probably isn't amazing. Like I don't play Talum, so of course I'm not gonna like know it in depth. But just getting like a general idea of it, I feel like it'd be, I don't know, like I'm kind of torn between putting Talum in A or A minus because she definitely is good.
I think that the thing with Talum is I actually don't even think she suffers from like significantly fucked up matchups. I think at the worst, like she has bad matchups that are like she can deal with them. She has matchups where she's good in. She is a character that runs a very strong offense and can mix you up really hard, which, like we said about Yoshimitsu, a character that mixes you up really hard on Oki is a character that nullifies bad matchups to some extent. And I think that's because, Talum and Yoshi are capable of this, they don't have to worry that much about a matchup being horrible, because if they get a knockdown, they can just kind of keep up a shit ton of pressure.
Yeah, she definitely does the whole mental frame game really well. What kind of
Yeah,
sucked for her, season 2, is that her guard damage game kind of took a hit, and
yeah, it
that's
did.
the. I feel like that was her biggest strength season 1.
But she did gain a new strength with a very strong, like, the back turned kick launcher mix up that are both safe.
Yeah,
Or, well, one of them is -12, the other one's safe.
like there's that. She got 6 BK, which is +2 into back turn, so effectively it's 0. But yeah,
I also think, yeah, so I'm comfortable with this like placement of Talim. I don't see her as like a character that suffers too badly in any one regard, or excels too much in anything. She's just a good offensive character. She has good pressure,
mm.
but there are holes in a lot of her pressure. She has good damage, but it requires a decent amount of making reads to get that damage. She might have like a range problem, but I
Yeah,
think she can get in without that
yeah,
still.
especially with 6 BK now. Like
In fact,
that definitely helps.
I don't even think it's a range problem. I think the problem is that she carries her hitbox forward with all of her approaching attacks. You know what I mean? Like
Um,
she has no detached hitbox. Like that's the problem with her range. She has a lot of range. It's just she carries her hitbox so far forward that she tends to get hit out of a lot of approaching tools.
I still feel like she does have a range issue because like on things like her A and her B, like being lower range, that affects her block punishment in some situations.
Her block
Whereas
punishment range is fucked up. Yeah,
yeah,
that's true.
where it's like okay, that happens, and things that are -12 and punishable by most of the cast, she can't punish just because she can't even reach with her A. But yeah, I feel like that's one of her biggest weaknesses though is her block punishment, and even then, it's not too bad. Yeah, just block punishment and range. I want to say let's talk about risk to reward on her strings. So with Wind Charmer, usually what you want to do, like I feel like it's one of those characters where you have to be active in getting out of their offense in a lot of situations. So like example for the Wind Charmer stance, like you could mix ducking or tech crouching with sidestepping and launching, because like the fast vertical that comes from that stance is Wind Charmer K, and unless your back's to a wall, then you're gonna be pretty much fine. Like yeah, it's a knockdown, but it's not like a horrible situation.
Yeah, I think the risk reward in terms of dealing with a lot of her stances is pretty good. Like it feels very fair
Yeah,
for me.
it
So yeah,
does.
I'm comfortable with this placement of her.
Yeah, and then she does have like some tools that like set her apart from a lot of roster, like 9B for example, and things like that. Uh, so yeah, I'm comfortable putting her there. Towards the end, might I might end up renaming the tier names, but yeah, let's just get everybody out there for now.
Okay.
Uh,
I, uh,
what's up?
I think that Tira is a contender for A- as well.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
She just has fantastic movement. She, yeah, like she has fantastic movement. She has fantastic counter hit moves. Very good buttons in neutral. Gloomy Coda is a strong, like, yeah, kind of like late in the match mechanic.
Mhm.
She just doesn't feel like she has any real weaknesses. Maybe her frame data being not that good, but then again, she did get an I-12. She did get an I-14.
Mm.
Like the character just doesn't seem like she's holding any significant weaknesses.
I feel like in Jolly there definitely is, and then there's like overall like weaknesses like that can be argued, but as far as like micro situations, like yeah, the mood switch mechanic could help or could hurt you depending on how you look like it, and I feel like usually when it does help, it doesn't really make up for like things like headaches or things like that.
Yeah, so I could see her as just an A- tier character. Like,
Yeah.
if I knew more about her, I would want to try to put her at A tier because I feel like she's stronger than A-, but I don't know enough about her to make that argument, and I know enough to feel comfortable with A-, right? Or like even like a B+.
Mm.
So yeah, what about 2B? Why does everyone like 2B is a character that I feel like could just sit in A tier right now, but it feels like a lot of people are putting her at A minus and B plus tier, and it feels like the only reason that that didn't happen was because people saw the nerf to 6BB and they thought that that was like enough. And
Yeah.
I really don't think that's enough. I think the nerf to 6BB, I think 6BB was what made her really strong. Because it just created a situation where if you just stood still in neutral and you guarded it, you were in a mix-up. But now you're still in a mix-up, sort of. If you try to mash out of it, she can, rocket fist, like flip behind and just punch you in the face with a rocket, and then like,
Doesn't
and if
that
you
whiff
decide,
sometimes? Like even if you
um,
2A? Or no? I might be
no, it
wrong.
hits me when I 2A.
Oh,
That's
okay.
it might. I don't know. It's just I know that it hits me when I try 2A, or if I try to 3A or something like that. Like the character just will backflip, and so it's still a mix-up.
Yeah.
You decide if you want to
And
mash into it, and you might assume risk mashing into it, and if you don't mash into it, she gets her pressure.
yeah, and there's not really a risk to doing the B plus K in a lot of situations from AGS.
Yeah, so like the character is still essentially the same. She lost a little bit of damage. Her new tools aren't that big of a deal, but I don't think that's enough to propel her as far lower as everyone thinks. She still
Yeah.
forces you to guess constantly. She still has a ridiculous soul charge.
I feel like she was due for nerfs season 2 too, because they got rid of 86G, which was really like the way to deal with her AGS mix up in Soul Charge, because like what you would do is block an AGSA or whatever and then hit H6G, so you could also block a follow-up AGSA or a follow-up AGSB. So now that you can't do that anymore, it's like, okay, what do we do? Like we could jump and kind of get rid of a lot of the risk against it, or you could just guess right for potentially not that big of a reward at all. But yeah, I feel like your Soul Charge is still really good.
Yeah, I think. Where would you put 2B? Because I don't see her at B plus, and I don't see her at A minus.
Yeah, I was thinking between A and A minus. So I get, yeah, let's just throw her an A for
Bottom
now.
end of A tier,
Yeah,
I think, is acceptable.
yeah. I think what I'm gonna end, or what we might end up doing, or at least what I think might be good, is creating a new one, because I feel like there's kind of a difference between these top 5 and the other 4 in A plus right now.
I could see that. It's just the problem is that I don't think it's as significant as some people might think. I don't think that the difference between Zoslamel and, let's say, Siegfried, for example, is so significant that it warrants us expanding the tier list too much. I could see us expanding, maybe adding another tier.
Yeah.
Or we could change the lettering if that matters to people. But I think the important message of Soul Calibur right now is that so no matter what, in any game with a multitude of characters or options to pick from, something is going to be stronger than the other, right? It's important to know the difference between how strong a one option is compared to the other option. You could take this as an example of when you look at Leroy in Tekken 7 when he was released, right? There was a very, 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 very significant distance between Leroy and an A tier character.
Yeah.
It was very big, to the point that many people in professional players like Book said, just play Leroy.
Yeah, you saw EVO Japan, right?
Yeah.
6 Leroys.
Or 6 Leroys. Whereas now, yeah, okay, Zos might be the best character in the game, but I wouldn't go to someone and say, just play Zos. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You want to win? Just play Zoslamel. Just play Azal.
That's
Because
true.
I think that if you excel at a character like Siegfried, the matchup isn't so bad between Zos and Aswell and all these other A tier characters that you should feel like you want to play another character.
Yeah. So yeah, once we have everyone on there, we can just talk about ordering and all that more. But yeah, I actually think I would group X and Waldo up there with them too.
With the A minus tier characters?
Yeah. I feel like there isn't a big difference.
To me, I think Waldo is a B plus tier. I think he's I think he's definitely the weakest out of the cast right now. Yeah, I feel like he is.
With his Oki being that good from Blind?
Yeah.
And just in general? Why's that?
He still suffers in the damage department. Like he suffers in the damage department. Like when you look at like having a mix up on Oki, you can compare him to every other character that has a mix up on Oki. Even as far as like if you consider Serby having 3B ground hit and grab when you wake up, right? That's a stronger mix up than him doing a Mantis Scroll after a plus on block guard break. You know what I mean? Like
It's very
does
plus
way
though.
more damage. The character just he suffers from bad matchups. He doesn't do a lot of damage. His poke game got weaker. The ability to play him as just a hardcore neutral focused character got weaker.
What are some of his bad matchups?
Some of his bad matchups. I think Astroth is bad against, like really good against him. I think the character suffers against Cervantes significantly. I think the character suffers against Ivy. I think the character suffers against Azal. Like
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, some people say that like he suffers against Amy, like Cassandra probably fucks him up, right? Like having like fast crouch grabs, like Xianghua probably fucks him up too.
Yeah, I know that was like a general consensus thing last season, was that X had a decent time against Waldo.
Like suffer means to have distress, right? It means that you are currently experiencing a large amount of distress. That's, I think, the definition of suffer. I don't know what the exact definition is.
I guess in practice it could be considered.
If you mean
a
in the
lot
context
of, things, really.
like, if you mean in the context of like the fighting game, which I know I'm just being a piece of shit. The within the context of Soul Calibur, to suffer means that you feel like your options are limited, whereas your opponent's options are greater than yours. I feel like that's a good way to describe what suffering is. You feel stressed to come up with a solution to the problems that your opponent is posing to you, whereas your opponent feels like they are not stressed to come up with a solution to your defense, right?
Yeah.
Like you're fighting Waldo into Xianghua. Xianghua has a plethora more options than you do. Some of them catch more than one option. And Waldo has to sit there and pick one specific choice to beat them.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, yeah, I was kind of thinking that like Waldo would be in a tier with him, but now that I think about it, like thinking about his matchup chart and like who he actually beats, like okay, I don't play Waldo, so I obviously don't know the actual answer to it. But just looking at the roster, I can't really see anything in Waldo's kit that would make it that decisive in his favor.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could see him going down here. What about X though? Like, yeah, she's gonna have like some horrible matchups, Siegfried being one of them. But how do you feel? You think she should be like higher with them or down with Waldo?
I feel like A minus tier, but I feel like you can convince me a B plus tier if you feel it's B plus tier.
I don't feel it's B plus tier.
Yeah, I feel like she's like an A minus, maybe even like low A character. Outside of that matchup, like she suffers hard against Sugmina, and she suffers hard against what's it called? Siegfried. But like when she doesn't have to deal with those horrible matchups, then she is very safe. She is the proud owner of the I have an IE12 CE club. Currently, only Xianghua is a part of that club.
They made PXS a lot better too.
Yeah, like the PXS mix-up is really fucked up.
That's not super fucked up, but still, like
it's fucked up because some characters can't interact with it very well.
Yeah, like I know for PXS AA, my best punish is my 2B because it recovers in crouch, even though it's minus 14.
Yeah, like it's just man, the character can create some really like annoyingly stressful situations. It's just the only thing again. Just what does she lack? She lacks damage. It's she lacks range.
Yeah.
She is out of all the short range characters in this game, I think she has the hardest time getting in out of anyone else.
Yeah, I could see that, but it's like, does she really want to get in on that many characters with her like defensive tools being so amazing? Like, I would even consider 2TB being a defensive tool because it's an 8-way run move that keeps its tech step very well, and even though it's considered a vertical, it tracks completely. There's things like 6A plus B to be defensive with. You can get a relatively safe mix up with FC3A and FC3B, like things like that. And like, you know, you have the I12-2A to enforce it.
Yeah.
So to like kill step and all that. There's the I10A, which most characters don't have. So yeah, she definitely has her strengths.
I think yeah, I can't see her as being B tier. So this
Yeah,
placement is
at
fine
least on
for
this
me.
list.
Yeah.
If there was a list that went down to C or D, then I could see her being B. But like for now,
And as far as like the bottom two characters, like my only like Grow could be anywhere. I'm not well versed enough in Grow. I don't think he's that good. I don't think he's bad either. I think he's like if I had to give him if I had to just like drop these points on the list, I would just like move Grow into A- and Astaroth into A- and call it a day personally. With just my explanation of like the only thing I'm going to say as far as these two characters. Astaroth is still the character that will kill you in a few reads, and it doesn't really care if you're a good player or a bad player.
Yeah, like first to Asta is crazy, which like, is why I was considering throwing him in A. Actually,
yeah, like he doesn't give
A-.
a fuck if you're an expert player at this game or you're a garbage player. Like he's just gonna put a 50-50 onto you. He's gonna guess right like 3 times, and then you're gonna lose the game. Yeah. And the only thing is I think he is better at playing neutral than he was in Season 1. Because 6A plus B is a counter hit fishing horizontal that counter hits into a crouch grab mix up that does like 60 damage. Like the hardest part about him, and the only reason that like you would imagine that a character that doesn't care about matchups, that doesn't care about how good you are, that doesn't care about anything like that, would be really good. The only problem is that just like how you have to guess really hard when you're fighting an Astaroth, he has to guess really hard to not lose the set against you.
Well, I feel like that's not in every situation, right? Because like take level 3 post GI for example. He's not gonna have to guess hard. He could do A plus B for a good or a better situation, like assuming that he doesn't get RI'd. Like, and so it's not everything. I feel like his post GI is really good. So
his post GI is really good.
Yeah, like the situation once his throws get broken, like I feel like is another good thing. Because now, like on top of that, Season 2, like he gets a little damage for getting them broken in the first place. He also gets a mid-lethal hit to enforce his throw game if they get broken too much.
I feel like he just suffers really bad against tech crouchers. I think his ability to handle tech crouching in this game is still kind of fucked up.
Really?
Yeah, it's just a lot of his attacks, like when he wants to kill your sidestep, when he even wants to mash into you, he has to do 4A. You know what I mean? If he wants to really mash into you with an I-12, he needs 4A, and 4A, being a high as it is. But the problem is that he has so many good highs. I mean, yeah, armor is a thing. I just think that his armor is way worse than Nightmare's.
Oh, well, yeah, definitely. Like, still very applicable, though.
I just really, really would put him at, like... I guess I could see him at B+ tier. He could totally sit with Waldo. They both they suffer against similar characters, too. I think that Astaroth really gets fucked up by Xianghua. I think Astaroth gets fucked up by Siegfried.
Yeah. Honestly, like, him being as good as he is in First to 2, and, like, having to be afraid of Asta more than most characters, no matter who you're against, like, it was making me consider putting him a level higher.
You could put him wherever. He's so weird to me. I don't know. Like, one day I feel like he's an A tier, or another day I feel like he's a B+ tier character. I think that's just the nature of Astaroth. I know that there have been tier lists for Soul Calibur 5 that put him in Astaroth tier, and I feel like that's almost where I want to put him. I want to put him in Astaroth tier.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, honestly, like I'm feeling A-. Like his strengths are so good, and like even though he does kind of suffer to tech crouches, he has moves to deal with that too. Like if someone's trying to disrespect him with tech crouches, like he can 6B, and it's not like that's unsafe to throw out or anything.
Yeah. What about Grow?
Grow, like I just like nothing strikes me as completely like horrible about him. It's just like you compare him to the rest of the roster, and it's like, huh. Outside of like his inconsistencies, of course.
I think he has very good force blocks. I think he has a very good soul charge.
Yeah,
I think he
Guardian's better.
plays a very good neutral. I just think he's not like he doesn't receive like a plus grade on every aspect, but I don't think he receives like a C grade in any aspect either. The character just feels like he does everything acceptably. But then
Yeah,
he's given a ridiculous soul charge. I genuinely feel like when I fight this character and he soul charges, I am inches away from losing the game.
mm.
In a few seconds.
Yeah, because the guard damage from it, like even if you don't want to take a risk to get out of things like his SOT and moves, like if you just want to chill there and block, like you're still gonna eat a lot of guard damage. So it's like kind of forcing you to be active against it. And on top of that, like winning neutral in his soul charge isn't really that difficult compared to what some other characters have to do for their soul charge win conditions.
Yeah, I see him as an A minus, or I just don't see him as like. But then again, even B plus. The character is weird. He to me is good at neutral, and he has a good soul charge. I don't think he even like. I think he has like a few really bad matchups, right? Like some people
Yeah,
say Taki's like one of his
Taki.
worst matchups. But I don't know. I just don't see the character as being that bad. But I can see a B plus there.
Yeah,
He definitely sits between A minus or B plus for me
I can agree with
in
that.
terms of like relative strength to everyone else.
So yeah, like he does do a lot of things really well, and I feel like for all of these characters, right, like there is a straightforward reason that you would want to pick these characters if you wanted to be a successful competitive player, which I feel like is really good about this game right now.
Yeah, yeah, okay, so when I just look over this tier list, the only things I would even want to change if I could force a change, I would force like grow up maybe, Sophie down and Ivy down, personally.
Yeah,
Um
I was thinking about Sophie down too, so might as well do that.
yeah.
For me, um, I feel like there should be something in between the last three of A plus and the A, because I feel like comparing, like I just feel like Zas, Raph, etc. are pretty noticeably stronger than Cervantes and Cass and Ivy.
I think so as well.
Yeah, so let's just add a row. How do I want to order this? We could just call these A and let's A minus. Let's B plus.
I mean,
Whoops.
if anything,
And
let's
this
just
B.
remove like the minus thing. Let's just do A plus A, B plus B, and C.
Okay, that works.
Yeah, because I think the A minus part, it's like hard to argue. It's hard to argue that. I think it's easy to argue that a character is good but is just a tiny bit better than it is to argue that a character is a tiny bit worse, right?
Yeah, that's true. So for the ordering, yeah, I would still put Ivy in front here. Whoops.
Okay.
Are they gonna move? Whoops. There we go. Yeah.
So looking at that,
Do you agree
I
with
think
that? Ivy
if we
being number 6.
Ivy being number 6, yeah, I could agree with Ivy at number 6.
Okay. And we already went
I
over what's getting better.
Between Cass and Servi, they both feel like equally fucked up as characters to me. Servi has neutral.
Mm.
Just he is weak to backstep versus some characters in a significant way, but then who cares?
Yeah.
You'll deal with that somehow. Like Servi has a very good soul charge, but so does Cass. They both have very good frame data.
Mm. Yeah, and it's like in different ways too.
Personally, I think Cass is stronger than Servi.
Why is that?
I think the I-10, like there are matchups where because the character has an I-10, it really fucking hurts Servi. And I think that like Survey, first up, I think Survey kind of loses to Raph. I think Survey kind of loses to Amy, and I think Survey kind of loses to Cassandra. Yeah, that's one
Okay.
reasoning for why I would put Cassandra above Survey, but I mean that's not enough. I think that Cassandra still does a shit ton of damage. I think her damage output is comparable to a lot of like very strong characters in this game. I think that she doesn't suffer from horrible matchups. Just I don't know. I can't explain it because I don't play the character enough to talk about the nuance of her. So I
Yeah.
will be okay with her being above Cassandra. I mean, with Survey being above Cassandra.
Okay. Yeah. Like, I'd feel they're pretty similar too, but just playing against both of them, Serve definitely feels like more oppressive, especially in the first to two standpoint, just because of his amazing whiff punishment, like his Oki, like he has a straightforward offense that he can run along with having those like great tools to counter someone else's offense, and a lot of it's like not really huge or gigantically risky in that sense.
I think he doesn't have a straightforward offense actually. Like
Or I should say
his
game
offense
plan,
is
not
strong, but
offense.
I actually don't even think his game plan is straightforward. I think that the character is just not straightforward when it comes to playing him, just because it requires you have to play around every matchup in a unique way. You have to move in a unique way against every matchup, and you really have to like take advantage of player tendencies to get a lot of damage with Survey. I don't think that's straightforward. I think it's very strong, but I don't think it's straightforward or easy to implement. Some people might. I think the character is easy to play and execute outside of IGDR being the only hard part.
Like,
Uh,
why does Serve have to play on his opponent's
yeah, but Party Wolf, I played
tendencies?
that. I did the exact same thing again. He just decided he didn't want to deal with it that day. I tried playing not like that, and it didn't work.
Against what? Your mic cut out.
Against Incendiate,
Oh.
I pretty much implemented the 2A plus B only strategy against Incendiate like 2 months ago, and he destroyed me. And I did it like 2 weeks ago, and I destroyed him just because he was trying to counter that strategy from like 2 months ago or something like that. Like it's just sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I have to really catch Jordan's tendency over the past like year to beat him.
Yeah. Like I feel like as far as fundamental strengths, like Oki, guard damage, block punishment, whiff punishment, ring out game, things like that, I would say that Serve is definitely stronger
Okay.
than Cass. Like, yeah, just in that sense. And I feel like his soul charge is much better too.
Yeah.
So
Just because I do want to respond to it if it's okay. I think when we talk about straightforward, like just because you can utilize one tactic to win, like I think every character in the game can do that, right? Like if your opponent is just gonna block Nightmare 6BB constantly in Night Terror Charge, then they're gonna lose the game to that. You could call that a straightforward game plan, but it's only like I guess game plans are only game plans if they work. But
yeah,
I don't know. I don't think it's straightforward. You can't just 2A plus B your way to victory. You can't just 3AB your way to victory as us all the time. You can't just CS your way to victory against every single
of
player as
course.
IB. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? You can't 2-2A your way or Heaven's Guard your way to victory against every player with Maxi. Some things
like
are straightforward. Like you will find that one player is a Maxi player and just 2-2A him to death because
yeah.
he's getting hit by it constantly. That
What I
is
mean,
straightforward.
what I mean by straightforward is like relative to the roster though. Like you're not really gonna be doing that much knowledge checking or playing the player uh compared to playing the game as much on serve compared to a large amount of the roster.
I
Because
think because a lot of the situations against Survey there are answers. Like if you hit someone with AA, or if you like tag someone with A6, there is no one option that will just like cover many situations. You can't just 2A plus B after hitting someone with AA. It might whiff, so you might
yeah,
have to run up to A plus B, but run up to A plus B loses to mashing, right? So
which serve
none of that
really
is
makes it so that you don't want to mash more than a lot of characters.
Yeah, but even run up to A plus B will lose to continuous backstepping on some characters. Like, that isn't straightforward. Like, assuming your frame advantage and running an offense with Survey isn't straightforward. Running a defense with Survey is straightforward. Backstep, A6, AA.
Yeah, that's why I changed it to running a game plan rather than running an offense.
Yeah, running a game plan might be straightforward with Survey, but running an offense does not feel straightforward with Survey. I
Okay.
think that's the hard part about Survey is knowing how to be offensive.
Yeah, okay, so we agree on that. We didn't really take the time to order the B plus things.
No, we didn't. So I think we could do it now.
Let's see.
I think Siegfried is better than Sophie.
Why is
personally. The character's just way better in a first to two set. He doesn't have to focus on defensive reads as hard. He has a stronger offense than Sophie, in my opinion. He does more damage than Sophidia.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
He does more guard damage than Sophidia, and I think he can have more skewed matchups than Sophie.
Skewed in the
Yeah,
sense
A plus
as,
is ordered, CJ.
like
skewed
like
in the sense that he just like destroys some characters. Like he obliterates Xianghua. I don't think there's any character that Sophidia obliterates. I don't think there's any character that you pick, like you'll pick Sophidia and see, or you'll be playing a character and you'll see Sophidia on the other side of the screen and go, there's no way I could win now. Or God, it's going to be almost impossible to win. Or I'm going to have to work so ridiculously hard to beat the Sophie. Like,
that's true. On the same end, I feel like wouldn't you say that Sophie probably also loses less matchups than Siegfried?
Because what matchups does Siegfried even like lose that hard? Other than Survey and like he doesn't even lose against Survey that hard. It's like 6-4.
I think Maxi might 5.5 him.
Yeah, I don't think like even like suffers that badly. Like when he fights Maxi or he fights Survey or like I don't think there's any character that like outright just beats the shit out of Siegfried.
Oh yeah,
I don't even think he loses to Yoshi personally.
Yeah, there's a decent amount of people I've heard say that Yoshi beats Siegfried. I
noticed that a lot of them are Yoshi players.
Yeah, which I mean, like, yeah, you would want to take their word for it. Like, how do Siegfried players feel about it?
I've only ever heard Nathan's opinion on it, and I think, because I can't remember very well, but I think he said that he believes that Siegfried beats Yoshi.
Oh, okay.
And I think we saw what optimal Siegfried play looks like when he fought the Yoshi player in Japan.
Yeah, or well, at least that's as optimal as it's gonna get right now.
Yeah, as optimal as it's gonna get right now against Yoshi. Because like I mean, he did very well against that Yoshi player. That doesn't necessarily mean anything. Just as any one tournament match doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Yeah.
But
yeah, we saw how it could go and like how Siegfried can make it hard for him. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, so I think that. Oh yeah, I guess he suffers in the matchup against Azal. I think Siegfried's better than Sophie does,
Azal. Yeah, there's Azal. I can see that. So I'll drop him there.
I still think the character does way too much damage, and has some really dumb tools.
Yeah, because I think it could go either way. You think that Sieg's better, so yeah, I'll just throw him in front.
I do think Sophie can comfortably take that spot. I don't think any of the characters below are better than her. Yeah. I don't think Maxi's better than her. I don't think Nightmare is better, or Geralt.
Which makes me want to think, like, yeah, it would also make the list make more sense because the majority would be kind of B-ish if we did like those two at B plus and then drop the rest to B and then slid the other two rows down.
Well, in that case, if we're gonna slide people down now, I think that Maxi maintains his position at tier.
At B plus.
Yeah, I think that Nightmare does as well.
Okay, well, let's do that first and then talk about it. Oh, whoops, that's a row above.
Oh, we're adding a new row. Oh shit.
Yeah. All right. So one below.
I don't think we need a new row necessarily.
You think that because like I feel like the difference actually is pretty big between Siegfried and Sophie and the rest of the people on that row.
I don't think it's that big of a difference between Siegfried, Sophie, Maxi, Nightmare, Geralt, and Yoshi, and Mitsurugi. I don't think there's a big difference. Maybe Mitsurugi I might contend to go down, but like Siegfried, Sophie, Maxi, Nightmare, all four of these characters are really close to me. Nightmare is bonkers, 66BB is bonkers, 6K is bonkers. His soul attack has pretty much infinite range. Like Maxi shits out damage like a fucking dumpster full of babies. Sophidia, ridiculously strong in soul charge and still is a very safe and really good character when you have player tendencies down. Like you punish people, it's insane. Siegfried still shits out damage, forces you to guess a ton, and gets rewarded for his reads very, very well. You just can force your opponent to make a lot of reads constantly. Yeah. Like, I feel like these characters can't exist that far apart from each other.
Yeah, I don't feel like the difference is huge, but is it noticeable enough? Here, you know what? I'll just wait for now. You can talk about like whether or not we want a new one later.
I mean, do you at the very least agree that like Sophie, Maxi, Siegfried, Nightmare can exist together?
Sophie, Maxi, Siegfried, Nightmare. I don't know. I really wouldn't consider Maxi on Sophie's level or Nightmare on Sophie's level.
I definitely think both of them are on Sophie's level. Maxi has fantastic range.
They're very close.
I think Maxi has fantastic range and shits out a lot of damage.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, the damage capability is high, but you also got to consider like what it's enforced by, because like, okay, like for example, right, left outer, okay, so you have left outer A, you have left outer B, you have left outer K, right? You don't want to end up being -4 because you block left outer K, right? So you backstep left outer B, just assuming you're a character that actually can't backstep left outer B. So you do that, right? You end up getting counter hit by it. That ends up being 70 damage, right? Or you could get the same situation or the same benefit essentially by ducking left outer instead, which you're only risking taking like, I believe it's 15 or 20 damage from left outer B because you're not getting counter hit by it anymore.
You're right. It's just there are you can always, if you decided to constantly and all the time just sit there and like do the optimal choice versus every single stance that you see on reaction, like perfect world scenario, then yeah, Maxi, there are answers to everything that don't cause you to take a shit ton of damage. However, at the same time, the character still, I think because of 6A plus B and because of his grabs being relatively good, or at least his ability to enforce his grab game because of his speed plus range combination.
What's so good about his speed? Like, he doesn't even have a I-14B that combos into itself.
Between 6A and A. Like, both these moves are fast enough with enough range that I feel like I get myself grabbed by Maxi because I'm awaiting these moves to happen, or I'm taking into account these moves.
His A?
Yeah, his A has fantastic range. His 2A has fantastic range as well.
They do, but there's standard speed, which is
that's
what we were talking about.
Range. No, I said speed plus range, right? Like, it's the reason why, like, why does Azal have a better I-10 than Cass? Because his is more range, right? It's the speed plus combination of range.
Yeah, like, that's important.
It's the same thing with, like, why is Servi's AA really good? Not just because of the frame data, but it's the range plus being an I-12, right?
Yeah.
I think Maxi's AA is, like, has a lot of range and is also an I-12. Maxi's 2A has a lot of range, also an I-12.
It's not that big of a difference though with Maxi's range or on his 2A compared to like the standard 2A. Like it's very like it's not gonna be catching your backstep.
It catches my backstep a lot. I feel
no, like I'm saying that much more compared to like the average 2A.
I think that thing like bungee cords and breaks my ankles constantly, but like
really,
sure, yeah,
yeah. Because like when I go to play Geralt, it feels pretty similar to his 2A.
Yeah. So, okay, I am seeing a lot of argument about like Sophie not like going up there. I do you how strongly do you feel that like Sophie can
Ex what? It like cut out.
how strongly do you feel that Sophie should be on A tier?
Um, actually, yeah. What? Actually, I think now that I think about it, yeah, I should just put her there. Like, cause originally she was placed before we like reordered it and everything, and yeah, I feel like she definitely
Yeah,
can fit
she
here.
was originally on that like A plus at the end of it.
Yeah.
I I think there is merit to the statement that Party Wolf said, where she can be played both insanely aggressive and insanely defensive, and it's not a bad idea.
Mm.
And I think that's really good. I still think that her neutral has a big problem of having shitty frame data.
What, like 6-6B being a natural 8 launcher that's -2 on block?
Um, sure. I mean, like that's clearly a good thing.
Like,
But like we can just like say good things about plenty of characters as X.
I feel like that's a really good thing about her neutral though, and you can kind of
Like
run your game around it.
yeah, sure. I think though that like what about her AA being garbage? What about her like BB being garbage? I think that that's
They're
a
not
thing that other
straight
characters get
garbage.
to run a game plan around, but you know,
Like,
like Sophie does not. Even like from crouch 1K, like being +2, like it just
that's
you
really
could
good.
backstep every option except for 6K or read. Like if she like it just I don't know.
Yeah, most characters don't even get the chance to catch backstep after they throw out a low or a low
Uh,
poke. That's as significant as that.
I think almost every character that has a +2 low poke can catch backstep after the low poke.
Er,
Keela can when he does a 2-2 K side B. He can catch your backstep. Hilde can catch your backstep.
it's kind of like less of a struggle
Um,
though compared to Sophie's. Like, yes, it can happen,
no,
but like,
I think it's easier for those characters to catch backstep after a +2 low than it is for Sophie. Cass has an easier time catching your backstep after her plus on hit low. Um,
while
Amy has
also covering
a time catching
sidestep,
your backstep after her 0 on hit low.
like,
But none. But what like? Or you're talking about the 4K, right? Like in terms of also catching your sidestep and your backstep.
yeah,
Yeah, but like I think those characters get to do it without assuming as much risk as Sophie's 4K.
like you got to keep in mind, like it's also a low that's horizontal too.
It's also a firm crouch low, which inherently means that it's going to be harder to use in neutral.
I mean, yeah, but Sophie's like in crouch all the time, so like yeah, in neutral it's gonna be harder to use.
She's
But
tech crouching all the time, but she's not like in crouch all the time. She's not in full crouch.
yeah, but like you can set it up that way. You can do like an empty task and do it and things like that. Or if you're ever forced crouch, like that's an option.
Uh, yeah,
Like I feel like she exists very well, like alongside especially serve.
yeah.
Like
No, I mean she's definitely really strong. I just think that her frame data is not that good. But like Survey's frame data is so much better than hers, and I think Survey has like an equally as game-changing soul charge. But I mean, it makes sense. Survey's above her. As far as her being better than the B plus tier characters, yes, I do think she's better than all of them except maybe Siegfried. I think that Siegfried's better than her, but that's a point of contention.
yeah,
I could easily be like swayed to swap the two of them. Uh, so
like
I'm sorry, like Sophie's placement right now is fine.
I could see Siegfried also being up there, but out of all the B pluses, probably only him also being up there.
For the sake of the fact that I don't strongly disagree enough with the points that you or some of the people in chat have made about Sophie, I just will concede that she is an A tier. Like I can agree with it.
Okay, and yeah, she's like at the tail end of it anyway.
Okay.
So
So is there any other characters in B plus tier that should be moved up to A tier?
Um, I'm on the fence about Siegfried, but no one else. Main thing I'm trying to see right now is the order of B plus because I still feel like we could discuss that more.
Okay, so I think we could be happy with Siegfried at the top of B plus.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. I think 2B should be moved up in the B plus tier. Like further
In
up,
front of who?
I probably would put her in front of Mitsu for now, personally.
Really, that much? Okay.
Yeah.
Why do you think she's better than Geralt, or do you think Geralt should also be moved up?
I think she's better than Geralt. I think she's still essentially the same exact character. BB block.
Could you say that again?
She's the same exact character that she was in season 1, except the 6BB mix-up has changed from do I mash or GI here, or like just guard, to do I mash or guard. Like I think it's still the same thing. Like you mash, and she has an option that beats mashing. You don't mash, and then what? Like she decides to keep it going, and you're in a mix-up.
Yeah, yeah. It's just that like less options would be mashing, and so
like her options are more limited, which hurts the 6BB transition. But that's it. And she didn't need the 6BB transition to be a good character. She was a good character even despite the 6BB nerfs, and I think she still is.
Yeah.
And her soul charge is still fucking bonkers.
Yeah. Yo, thanks for the raid, A-Way.
I mean, do you disagree with the idea that she is better than Geralt?
Actually no. Yeah. Because soul charge being better, she doesn't like I'm trying to think of like significant weaknesses that the character has, and I can't really think of any. Like her block punishment's good.
One of the complaints I remember a lot of players had about her in season 1 was they felt like you would guess to win or lose constantly. And I feel like that's still the same.
Yeah, because like for 6BB for example on black, right? So now instead of like being like, okay, I'm at an advantage, I'm gonna lean like more towards offensive buttons as 2B through AGS. Like now it's like, okay, I'm at a disadvantage if they block it. I'm gonna lead towards my more defensive options like AGS B plus K and things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just how that makes his ran.
What about Maxi? Would you keep him where he is or move him down below anyone specifically?
I'm trying to think of characters on that row that I think would be better than Maxi. I feel like Rugi, and that's it. Yeah.
You've always been able to roll out of Soul Charge AGSB, just always to one direction. You could roll out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And still, you could only roll it to one direction.
Yeah, so I just think Rugi's better than Maxi because he plays neutral. I want to say like very noticeably better. Like just his neutral tools in general. His soul charge is better. Meter usage. Is there meter usage better in general? I would say so. Yeah, because like it's not I-12 anymore, but he still has Sure Blade. Like if you 2K him, you're still gonna eat a CE.
Yeah, but remember, like outside of getting REA, like he has to get Sure Blade, and to get Sure Blade, he needs to use his CE.
Yeah, and his CE is still very applicable. Like as a whiff punisher, as a block punisher. Like it has decent range too.
Like it's really hard to get Sure Blade. But I guess the character didn't.
It's not hard to land a CE.
Like, it's way harder than landing an I-12 CE.
I think what's hard about getting Sure Blade is that you're using the meter for it on a C when he already has that amazing soul charge.
But you have to consider like the usually the way that meter is used. People are going to CE when it kills, or as a block punish in like rounds that matter, right? Like the second round of a set. I think that it's hard for Mitsurugi to get Sure Blade early enough that it becomes a significant deciding factor in the match. Like to me, it's a strength, but it's not enough of a strength. I think what was a bigger help to him was his BBB. I think his BBB is really good.
Oh yeah, there's that.
I think Relic AB is also really good.
Yeah, and that one miss or that one mid from Mist that he got, because beforehand like ducking Mist was a much better option than it is right now. I forgot, is it like Mist 6B or something? Forgot the input for it, but yeah, the season 2 mid for Mist 4B. Okay, thanks. Yeah, so there's that too. Like,
Yeah, I think I could see Mitsu being better than Maxi.
yeah,
He plays a more solid game plan than Maxi. He imposes upon himself less reads than Maxi does.
yeah, like first to two especially. Like, and his movement's amazing, so there's that too.
Yeah, yeah, okay, I could totally contend there. I do think, however, that Maxi is better than Nightmare.
Yeah,
Really
I can
quick,
see
just
that.
wanna put that out there. I do think that Maxi is better than 2B. Taki, I don't know shit about, so I don't want to talk about her.
Better than Taki? I kind of think I want to move Taki in front of 2B though. Like,
Yeah,
especially
again,
for
I don't
first
know.
to
I don't know
two.
shit about Taki. So Taki is your place to place her.
Yeah. How do you feel about Yoshi being at the end?
I definitely feel okay with Yoshi being at the end there. I do not want to see Yoshi lower. I will fight tooth and nail to not see Yoshi lower.
Yeah, because like, there's a conversation not too long ago about how like Yoshi is amazing on paper, right? Because he's got the I-10, he's got amazing meter usage to, you know, keep his turn on like his AA unless it gets GI'd or RI'd. Like his ring out game's amazing, you know, his mix-ups are amazing, his knockdowns are amazing. But it's like you go into the game against the Yoshi and it's like it kind of feels like worse in a way than what is on paper, at least to me.
I feel the opposite. I feel like I look at Yoshi on paper and I laugh, and then get my friends into a voice call, and I'm like, "Hey guys, let's together." And then we all sit there and we point at Yoshi's frame data, and then we laugh at Yoshi. And then, you know, as we're finished laughing, Yoshi barges into our room and beats the living shit out of all of us. I feel like that's my perception on Yoshi. I look at
Okay.
him and I go, "That is not that big of a deal." And then I fight it in game, and I'm like, "This is a very big deal."
Yeah.
Everything, his ability to impose mental frames is ridiculous.
Yeah, he does it better than a lot of characters. I feel like it's pretty much up there with only Talum.
You know, this character has so many god tier moves to catch your timing with. In neutral, right? Like assuming that you're about to press a button and he hits you, plenty of moves are very good, and one of them requires a lot of execution. But we can see that there are plenty of players who do it very often,
Yeah,
and consistently, which is the dick punch into B slide A.
B-slide, yeah.
You know, like that is, you have a tech crouching, extremely fast, thick hitbox mid that when it counter hits you, you get knocked down into like 55 damage and lose a meter. The character, you know, 4A, if it catches your timing, you take 80 something damage in neutral. 3AA, dude, that move, when you duck 3AA, your punish better be fast as fuck, boy. Like,
yeah, I can only do an I-16.
Yeah, that move recovers in like 2 seconds. It's really fast.
Yeah, not only that, but you have to make sure that the move keeps its tech crouch frames long enough, because if it doesn't, then the second hit's just gonna clip it.
You know, like, just and then on top of that, I mean, the character, like, yeah, I mean, we could talk about what Florida Man just said. Like 2-2B, you'll get hit by a random like pretty good tracking fucking vertical that is only -12 that will ring you out from like fucking, you know, forever. Like, just really far ranged, or wall spot you in a really fucked up way.
Another thing is on level 2 GI, he's another one of the characters that gets a ring out mix because of 6K.
6K, and to be honest, I think his A+B is bad enough that you would just do 6K, or you would wait for their GI and then like 4K.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with not using the A+B for it. So
yeah, like, what else? I mean, like, you know, he has reverse mix-up on his AA in terms of pushing mental frame advantage. Because, like, you know, if he AAs you, you want to wait for the Brave Edge flash so you can GI it.
Yeah.
Ideally, because you don't want to just GI every time you block an AA.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to do, but I think it's doable. I've been pretty decent
I
at
think
doing
it's
that.
definitely doable to react to the flash, but I think
Hmm.
that when you're waiting to react to the flash, you're going to give him frame advantage on his AA on block.
Yeah, that's mental frames exactly.
Exactly.
And like, and you have the backup plan of like, oh, okay, I block the third hit, then I can RI the fourth hit, but you don't want to have to spin the bar to do that, or the half bar.
like I yeah, I don't know. I make fun of Yoshi when I look at his frame data, and then I just like beg Yoshi to stop beating the shit out of me when he's in game.
Yeah,
Medk is also super fucked up. I just cannot see him B or C. That character is good as fuck.
yeah.
He has some weaknesses that are very clear, but that's it.
Hmm. Yeah, so I could see him being right there too. Um. So yeah, how do you think the order of B plus is?
Um, I'm happy with Nightmare. I'm happy with Siegfried's placement, Mitsu's placement, Maxi's placement, Nightmare's placement, Taki. I'm happy with 2B. Geralt, Geralt's weird. Like
Yeah, I kind of want to.
I almost want him to be above Nightmare at this point.
Yeah, I was thinking about sliding him a little more forward too, but like other than that, I agree with it. Here,
Okay.
I'm thinking like, yeah, in front of Taki at least.
Okay, in front of Taki at least is totally fine.
Yeah. All right, so
All right.
ordering B.
Ordering B tier. I definitely think Keelik is the best out of the B tier characters.
Yeah, me too.
Pillars is fucked up.
And
some of his new moves create like stupid reverse mix-ups on whether you want to continue holding block. Like, but the character is mostly the same aside from that. 6/6K slide B is really good, but also has a significant weakness of like costing him health for only +2 on block.
Yeah, it's still a very significant mid, so there's that. The health that drains really doesn't seem like it's that much.
I think it adds up. Well, like I try to think about the health that drains from 6/6K slide B as being something like, I think over the course of a match, if he's used that move 3 times to me, I've essentially dealt like an AA in damage to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's that.
Like,
can't forget wall rising. Can't forget wall rising B plus K too from Evil Keelik, because a lot of people, they would like to 2K to try and tech crouch him so that his CE can't punish anymore. But now if you throw out a -14 low, you're still gonna end up getting CE'd because of that move if he blocks it. So I feel like that's another really good tool. And on top of that, like, I feel like it's not the worst to just throw out either, because it's safe, isn't it?
I don't actually know.
I believe.
To be honest with you,
like, I'm pretty sure it is, but don't quote me on that.
What's the input for the move again? Maybe I'll just see.
Wall rising B plus K. Here, yeah. I can just open up training mode.
No, I think that move is actually 100% safe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that. Hilda's interesting. I feel like I need to watch more of Hilda to get like a more firm impression of her. But
the only thing I know about Hilde is that she's my waifu, and that's about all I know about
Armor Bay.
Armor Bay.
Yeah, that's what's up. But yeah, like nothing. Like, I have labbed her a little, and I've played against like a decent amount of Hildas, and I feel like nothing she has is too oppressive or too outstanding compared to a lot of the cast. Her Oki is very solid. I'll give her that.
I think her duck punishment is insane. Because yeah, like what Cheetos just said, like from crouch, charge B is 90 damage. Like her duck punishment is insane. I think the buttons that she can press on timing tend to all be safe and hit for 1 billion damage, counter hit in neutral. When you get tagged by charge A, or you get charged by charge 6A, or if you get tagged by like any of her charge Bs in neutral, like these are all moves that do a fuck ton of damage to you, and are safe on block. And it's like, like what the fuck do you do? Her A6 is pretty good.
Yeah, she's pretty decent at staggering, actually. Or
yeah,
just like keeping her advantage in general.
Like I definitely feel like if I learned more about the character and people get much stronger with her, she'll be up on the tier list in the future. But for now, I will put her at B tier because from fighting players who don't seem like they know her fully, I do not struggle in fighting her any more than I struggle at fighting any of the other characters above her or below her. I'm sorry, is what I meant. And I just don't feel like she's stronger than the rest of them so far.
Yeah, that's just pretty much how it feels right now. Like, this is just, at the end of the day, a tier list for right now and how all of these characters feel right now.
I do think Tira's better than her, though. So I would definitely move Tira above her. I also think Tira's better than Talon. In fact, I think Tira's better than Keelik, too.
I could say Talon, but why Keelik?
I think, again, like, what are the weaknesses that Tira has? She has basically Servi's K2, but better. She also has Servi's, like, while standing K, but, like, better. Or at least equally as good. She has 6BB, which is pretty good at tracking step and jolly. Counter hits for a good amount of damage.
Yeah.
Creates a very, very difficult to deal with situation in neutral and on block. Her 6BB, 6BK, 6B nothing situation is really fucked up to deal with.
It's tough, yeah. I wouldn't really call it fucked up, though.
Like, her I-12 punishment when she decides to let RNG, take control, like, turns into, if you have bad RNG, it's not that big of a deal. You still get damage, and, like, you're not, like, in a bad situation.
Is that a high?
Yeah, but you're using it as a punish.
Yeah,
so.
That's true.
So, like, but when RNG favors you, her I-12 punish becomes a huge reward.
A launch, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, like, and the RNG seems to favor people more often than it doesn't. I think the percentage actually is over 50%, and even if it was just 50%, I think that's really strong.
Yeah, that'd still be really good. Like, I'd use that over an A any day.
Exactly. Like, and then her gloomy buttons are insane. They all have a shit ton of range. She has 3A as, I believe it's an I-14 mid normal hit launcher. Like, it can be used as a punish. It could be used on people's timing. It is arguably a reverse mix-up on block, because if she does 3A by itself.
It's just like she dies if she ends up completing it on block.
Yeah. Like, you'll have to deal with her, whatever your opponent's best crouch punish is. If, like, you do 3BB, or 3B, I'm sorry, 3A. 3A is what I mean. That's what I've been talking about the entire time. 3A, A plus B, or whatever. Like, just, the move is fantastic.
So, comparing to Keelik, like let's just do, like, 1-to-1.
Well, I mean, let's compare the two strengths. In terms of basic buttons, Keelik's BB is better.
Yeah, definitely.
But Tira's AA is better.
Black punishment, I think Keelik has the edge because what is Tira's I-16 in Jolly anyway for black punishing? Because I know Keelik's 6BB is definitely, like,
what her I-16 is, I don't know, but 3A is better than almost every I-16 in the game for block punishment.
You just gotta be in gloomy, though.
Yeah. I think, her I-16 punishment just boils down to, like, CE, but then when she's in gloomy, it's 3A, and then when it's in Jolly, I think she just hits you with 6B.
Yeah, that's all I can pick.
I think that she's better than Keelik. She has better buttons in neutral than Keelik does, in my opinion. I think she has more fucked up verticals than Keelik does.
Yeah.
Like,
there's that, the verticals. I think that Keelik's post GI is definitely way better. So there's that.
Oh, hey, you have a bot in your channel again that you should delete?
I do. Okay, hold on.
So I can wait. Actually, I want to shoot him.
You want to shoot him? All right, go ahead. Yeah. You play the gun character.
God, that name is, like, super.
Yeah. Dude definitely just mashed on the keyboard.
But yeah, like, so when it comes to punishment, I think her AA punishment is about the same as Keelik's AA punishment. I think that when it comes to I-14 punishment, when she's in Gloomy, it's better than Keelik's, and when she is in Jolly, it is worse than Keelik's by a good amount, but Keelik has one of the best I-14 BBs in the entire game.
Yeah. Well, for I-12, there's gonna be 4K, so Tira definitely takes it there.
That's true. So her I-12 punishment could potentially be much better than Keelik's, and at the very least is just worse than Keelik's, but not by a large amount. She still has it.
I just wish I had the number for like the rate of
yeah, the percentages like would be fantastic to have.
Yeah.
Her 4K is a ridiculous button in Gloomy. Her 6B series is ridiculous. Her staggered offense in Jolly is very good too. Her grab game is also very good.
We do on A-Way Run or A-Way Run now. What do you mean by that? Like for I'm not sure, but yeah, Tira definitely does staggering a lot better than Keelik.
Her CE is also a better CE than Keelik's non-soul charge CE. Way better.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So she has a tool that Keelik does not have, which I think is an important tool, which is a whiff punish CE that's I-16 instead of I-20.
And she gets a mood change for.
And she gets a mood change. She also has a better unique mechanic than Keelik, because Keelik doesn't have a unique mechanic in this game.
So, yeah, her movement's definitely better too. How's her Oki? Like, I feel like at least against the Tira's I play, like it's pretty easy to roll her.
I think she has one of the most real Okis in the entire game. Tira has really good Oki actually, because she has a lot of things that hit grounded that can't be rolled after certain knockdowns. That also advance her forward and are safe.
Yeah.
Jolly absolutely has Oki. 6-6B is really good Oki, and then Gloomy has God tier Oki.
I feel like 6-6B is rollable in a lot of spots, though.
In a lot of spots, yeah, it is.
But still, Gloomy, like, it's
Gloomy,
safe.
Nothing is rollable, but then in Jolly, there are a few knockdowns where she has legit Oki, but I think the thing is about Tira is that while 6-6B is rollable, if you run up, it's not rollable on both. So 6-6B is not rollable on some knockdowns, but it is rollable on plenty. However, you have enough frame advantage that with Tira, if you ran up and did like an instant from crouch 3A or something, or you ran up and like you just did like an 2A or any move that hits grounded for that matter, like they don't have the ability to get up and mash on you. But like her Oki isn't oppressive in Jolly, but it's okay. It's enough. It's enough of what you want to do. You get frame advantage from knockdown. Your opponent isn't stuck in a zero-sum situation. It's fine, Oki.
Yeah.
It's not broken. It's not that strong, but it's fine.
In
Gloomy, however, her Oki is retarded.
What is that?
She has a billion safe ground hitting force blocks.
Yeah, that's true.
Of like every single knockdown.
So...
And then, God forbid that she got Coda, because now her, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now her Oki went from like really good to actually unfairly good.
Yeah, because you're gonna want to stand up, and standing up in the Coda is to get mixed isn't too fun.
Exactly, and she's doing her Oki with mids, so you can't just like wake up and crouch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think her movement is just like in all these regards, she's like better than Keelik. She just better movement than Keelik, better. I think the only thing that Keelik might edge out on is low pokes. I think Keelik has way better pokes that hit low than Tira, but
okay, yeah.
All you need is like one or two. You know what I mean? Keelik may have like 85,000 low pokes that are good, but you really only need like 2 or 3.
Yeah, exactly. Like if your character can be amazing with 3 buttons, then that's still a good character.
Oh yeah. Also, Tira has a semi-comeback mechanic.
Yeah.
That I want to talk about. Like she gets rewarded for you beating her.
Exactly, and it's on a move that has a huge hitbox.
Dude, she's literally hitting you with a condominium. Like she's like fucking ripping out like a fucking skyscraper and like just like that shit's fucked up.
Yeah, it's like, damn, can I even step this half the time? Yeah, that's a good way to put it. That's a perfect way to put it. Like she just becomes the Hulk. It's like with her head. And just...
So yeah, that's
So there's
that's
that.
Tyrion.
So I can see Tyr over Keelik.
Talum being better than Hilde, I totally agree.
Yeah. X though.
Changhua?
I can see X over Asta. Well, I feel like Asta's worst matchups probably aren't as hard as X's worst matchups.
I think X is above Hilde, and then I wouldn't change anything with the rest of the list. I don't know enough about Hilde, so like I said, I will not talk about Hilde. But
honestly, like I think Asta should go in front of X just because like you know, the tournament set thing. Like tournament set Asta is way scarier to me than like first to two, first to three X.
I personally find I think due to the nature of the playstyle that I implement, I personally find way harder to fight in a first to two set than Astaroth.
Why's that?
Against Astaroth, I feel like I get to implement a really, really, really good offense that doesn't allow Astaroth a lot of options. My IGDR also is impossible to punish in a significant way for Astaroth. Like, if I just IGDR into him, like, he doesn't get what other characters do. Like, other characters get their best punish.
Yeah.
He just sits there and fucking eats dick when he blocks IGDR half the time.
Yeah, his block punishment sucks, but like he has that mix to kind of make up for it.
And I feel like when I fight Changhua, on the other hand, I can't run an offense on her without her I-10s coming into play, her good counter hit buttons coming into play, and safe launchers coming into play. Whereas like with Astaroth, I feel like I can run a pretty retarded offense and just like, because like the difference is, I feel like with Astaroth, when you finally do guess wrong and you get grabbed, you have to guess again. With Changhua, when you guess wrong, you don't have to guess again. You just get launched, or you get hit by a low.
Yeah.
With Astaroth, when you guess correctly, you have to guess on the grab next. And yes, he does get a bigger reward, but I think it's harder for Astaroth to get these situations to happen than it is for Changhua to hit you with a low or hit you with a launcher.
Well, he definitely has the range advantage, and
yeah, he does.
Can space out better. So getting him to run into you is definitely, or getting you to run into him is definitely going to be easier for him because there's a lot of characters where he like doesn't need to play that rush down game against.
Yeah.
Unlike X, where it's like there's some characters where it's like, okay, if she needs to be effective, she's gonna need to be in their face and then deal with whatever
she's
they
gonna
have
to do something.
Yeah. So there's that. Thinking, you said X over Hilda.
I do think she's better than Hilde, but then again, I don't know anything about Hilde. Yeah. I just am only basing off my experiences of fighting Hilde so far, and I still have yet to even lab her at all. I haven't gone into training mode to check how to block her moves or what to punish or anything like that, so take what I say with a grain of salt. But okay. I do think that Changhua is better than Hilde because she can run a overall safer game plan, less requirement on catching people's timings, and it just has a better mix-up than her.
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely a safer one. I'm not sure about better though. And also, I guess like a kind of side thing to keep in mind is that since Hilda's new, Hilda's as a whole are going to be improving with like how the character's played and everything at a rate that's much faster than any other character, like just innately.
Yeah,
So like the chances of seeing Hilda's potential are much lower than anyone else in the roster right now.
Yeah, and I think we don't have to discuss Waldo and Grow because I think they don't need to be moved around. Yeah, and we both already agreed on their position. So I still actually might argue a B tier Grow. I don't think anyone in this game is dealing with as much of a problem as Waldo is. I know Waldo still has a lot of fucked up shit. I just think that a lot of characters do more fucked up shit with more damage and better neutral. And the problem is that Waldo's entire game plan has like become like he is now just like A plus B on Oki robot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
like that's all he is.
Effective. Like
it's yeah, and it is. That's why he's still viable. But that's all he is. That because his neutral sucks now.
Well, the soul charge is pretty solid too.
I don't know. I don't think his soul charge is as good as try the fucking hump.
Could you repeat that? It like kind of cut out.
You could resist impact his hump attack now.
Yeah,
I think that was enough of a change to make his like his soul charge not as big of a deal as it used to be. Like his soul charge used to be a much bigger deal, but now because you could RI the hump, and the hump was the most important part of his soul charge, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there's also
they also reduced the damage of it significantly. Like it used to be that when you got hit by that hump attack, you were fucked. Like you took 1 billion damage. Now it has a lot of scaling. So I think his soul charge is just it's okay. Yeah, it's just not that strong.
All right, yeah, I definitely agree that he's one of the worst in the game, even though he's not that bad. So yeah, I'd be fine with leaving him here. I feel like at the bare minimum, I'd put Grow in front of him though.
Okay, I definitely think Grow's better than him, but I also definitely think that I do think Grow's better than Astaroth, actually.
Really?
Do you really think that Grow's worse than Asta? I mean, Grow has he has neutral. His neutral isn't bad. His I think 3A+B, the low, has great range. A good situation on hit, like -2 is not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
It creates a lot of nuance. He could backstep. He could if you mash, he could backstep with punish you. If you don't mash, he can grab you.
His guard damage is great. Honestly,
his guard damage is good.
Yeah.
His range is good. He's never suffered in terms of range. And his soul charge is easily one of the top 10 soul charges in the game overall.
Yeah. Like I feel like his matchup spread isn't that horrible either.
No, I don't think so either. I think his 3B tip launches with fantastic range as well.
Yeah.
And his CE is an I-16 good CE that gets even better if you spend 2 bars to use it in soul charge.
His block punishment's good. Like definitely, especially for I-16 and I-18.
Yeah, exactly. His while rising punishment is good. His buttons that from crouch are good.
Yeah.
You know, like he has a good punish for ducking grabs with a lightning flash.
6A+B is also solid for catching people's timings and all that, like with the range it has especially.
Because my thing with him is I can't see why he would be worse overall than Xianghua or Astaroth or even Keelik or Talum. I see him as the same level. He's not. I can see arguments for why he's not better, but I can see arguments for why he's not worse than them.
Yeah, like I feel like one thing that's really hurting him is inconsistencies on things. That and his wall game doesn't seem amazing at all.
I think his wall game is still pretty good. He still can get it's still pretty much the same as before, just without 6AA. It used to be that, you know, like 6AA was like the way to wall splat you.
Yeah, that hurt his ring out game too.
It did hurt his ring out game. His ring out game and his other game got hurt, but he still has ring outs off his lethal hits. He still has, I think, the best guard break, like the best guard break options in the game.
Yeah.
Not guard break options, just guard break attacks. His A+B, his Avenger B+K.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's that. His guard damage is good. Solid Oki, I'd say. Especially with like the force block situations he can do with like 4-4B and things like that. Yeah, honestly,
you can step his A+B on reaction. Yeah, that is actually true.
Yeah, you can. I remember thinking for the longest time that I couldn't, and then I went to CEO because like the only other times I tried it were online. I went to CEO and did it, and I was like, wait, what? I can do that? Holy shit.
Yeah, no. Offline, it is very easy to step his A+B on reaction.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, because the startup's so distinguishable.
Yeah, it's a very distinct animation. Okay. Is there anyone on this tier list now? Because I already did my pass over where I was like, hey, I disagree with this, I disagree with that. Is there anyone on this tier list now that you feel like deserves a different position? Yeah.
Let me look through it. I
Like
think.
less so than the ordering. Like let's not even just like I'm talking about like the actual tier placement.
Oh, okay. Um. Hmm. I part of me wants to put Sieg in A, and then part of me wants to leave him at the top of B. What do you think?
I agree. Actually, I wanted to kind of.
Sorry, what?
I agree. I wanted to suggest him as being an A tier character as well.
Okay, yeah, because I'm looking at it now, and I'm seeing Sieg, and then I'm looking at the rest of characters in B, and I feel like Sieg is still better than them by
I think
like
so too.
a noticeable degree. But
Okay.
yeah, like we went over why. Other than that, I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, this is like I'm thinking about it right now, and it's like all of the A plus tier characters I think deserve to be there. All of the A tier characters I think deserve to be there in that order for both of them.
Yeah,
The B plus tier characters, like yes, Mitsu is better than Maxi in my opinion. I think Maxi is better than Nightmare in my opinion. I think Nightmare is better than the rest of the characters below him in my opinion. I think Geralt is better than Taki. I think like and the characters below that. I think that out of all the B tier type characters, Tira is the best one. And I do think that Waldo is kind of fucked up at the moment.
yeah.
I'm happy with this. How do you feel about like when you look? So I just look through. You look through each row, and there's no problems.
Yeah, there's no problems with it. We got some questions though. Yeah, we can just take this time to see what people say about it. And,
Really quick,
Hmm?
because a lot of people are like a lot of people, have questions here. There was one thing that I really feel weird about because everyone gives a completely different opinion in season 2 now. Mina, why is Mina not still one of the best characters in the game? Like nothing has changed significantly.
Yeah.
In fact, I think she has gotten better at doing what she did before, except ring outs. The only thing that has gotten weaker is ring outs.
And like
but
even then,
there.
she's still good at doing that. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. Part of her design just really doesn't feel good to me because I feel like guard damage for should be for like turtling out too much or blocking too much or guarding too much, but she's able to apply it with force blocks that essentially reset to neutral, like just for landing a combo, which seems like the opposite of what you would want the game to be designed around.
Yeah, because like one of the things that always confused me is like, so she still has ring outs. She still will hell sweep you, CE you, ring you out. She could still hit you with a 6A lethal hit when you're fucking like a mile away from her and you're near a ring out. Run up CE, run up 236BA, ring you out. Like her ring out distance instead of getting nerfed just got turned into an angle, right? So like in fact, before there were certain situations where she just didn't ring you out, but now she does because it just rings you out to the side instead of forward.
I feel
You know
like
what I mean?
the carry forward got
The carry forward took a
changed
significant hit.
significantly. Yeah,
Yeah, it just turned into an angle.
which
But
I
like
mean, she's worse off because of that as far as the ring out game. Like I'll give it
like
that.
it's just I think that her ring out game is still existent and it still can be really fucked up. It's just not as fucked up. It went from being unfair to almost acceptable at this point. Like I think that her ring out game is acceptable now. She
Yeah.
still rings out a lot, and she could still spend her bar to ring you out. In fact, I think she's more reliant on meter to ring you out now than she was before.
Yeah, and it's like kind of yeah, and it's still like pretty hard to deal with, right? Because say she combos you, she does a force block, breaks your guard, and now you're rung out because of that force block. And it's like, oh, okay, you don't want to take the force block. Here's 40-50 damage instead.
Yeah, and on top of that, like she still has a crouch mix-up ring out. You know what I mean? She still has like if you get hell sweeped, you have to guess on Ukemi. If your back is to the ring edge, and you get hell sweeped, if you don't do Chemi, she has a ring out for you. And if you do Chemi, and she did 8A plus B, she has a ring out for you. When your back is to the edge. Like, you're still going to get rung out on the hell sweep in that situation, just as you did before. Like, but now I think what happened is that back then, she was significantly weaker when you got her on an all-wall stage, right? Like, when you fought her on, like, Moonlit Wilderness, for example, the character was significantly weaker, but now she is stronger. Like, she is stronger on stages with a shit ton of walls because she doesn't rely on the ring outs. Her ability to get guard damage has gotten way higher. Like, there's so many more guard damage force blocks, and there are so many more ways to create force blocks now for her.
Yeah, and stuff. And she still has that amazing soul charge on top of that.
Yeah, and her soul charge is still ridiculous.
Yeah.
That was like, I don't think she was a S tier character solely because of her ring outs. I think that they were the reason why it was S tier instead of A plus tier. But now that the ring outs got nerfed, I think she's still ridiculous.
Yeah. Like, the force blocks are there. It's just like, it seems like it's more of an intentional way now. Because
I think
the moves are like there to do just that.
I think like 2 through 6 BB is just a fucked up combo ender. Like,
yeah,
it's just a disgusting combo ender. Just, I don't know, the character seems, and like, I don't even think yet. You know what I mean? I think there's still a lot of players that just haven't fully figured her out. That at least out of the people who I know would pick her in tournament.
Yeah, we're getting right there now.
Like, it's Lolo who would play her in tournament that I know of. Like, out of the top players, there's like
Kamizono.
Lolo, there's Kamizono, there's Sandman. I haven't seen much of Kamizono. Sandman's been on a weird tear. Like, he lost some matchups, but he also won a lot of fucked up matches with Sungmina. Not only that, but like Lolo, you know, ripped people to shreds with like Sungmina so far, and just in everyone I know who's fought his Sungmina in season 2 has complained about it to me.
Yeah,
like how stressful fighting his Mina is.
And it probably doesn't help that like she has all these capabilities with an I-12 2A.
Yeah.
Like, so you can't really, like, up close it's like fine for her. Like, even in the mid range, like compared to Ivy, like it's still fine for her.
Yeah. Oh, like, and then her sweep has a reverse mix on block.
Yeah.
Well, depending on which character you are. Some characters can just OS it with a side-stepping attack.
I mean, I'm pretty sure every character can. Or most of them, at least.
To get a good punish, no. But to get, like, a sidestep 2A, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Which...
Or, like, in my case, like, I think I can get, like, a sidestep 3A, maybe.
Yeah, I can't get that much, because even my BB is... Or my B is I-16.
Oh, if I-16s don't work, then yeah, I can't.
I'm pretty sure it's I-16 that's a cutoff.
Yeah. There's some from crouch 1KK on block Anton, a lot of people can.
Yeah.
Like, you could always step it.
Yeah, block the first hit, step the second hit.
Yeah. It's just when people want to punish both from crouch 1K and 1KK. That's what some people do. They try to, like, OS it, where they do like I think Taki actually is the character that you block and then you do sidestep A6.
Yeah.
I think with Taki is what you're supposed to do when you want like an optimal punish.
I think she gets the best one out of anyone.
Yeah. Okay, so we don't disagree on Mina, we don't disagree on Amy, we don't disagree on Raf, Zas, or Azal.
Yeah. I remember Demons asked earlier, why is Raf better than Amy?
Why is Raf better than Amy? Because he does way more fucking damage.
Yeah, and
he does way more damage. I think their Oki is comparably fucked up.
Yeah, Raf's might actually be better. Raf's punishment is way better.
Where is Amy's strength over Raf is that Raphael has a weaker neutral than Amy. Amy has a better neutral, but Raphael makes up for it by having better mix-ups, better damage, better block pressure.
I feel like
And
it's not even that much weaker though, because like Amy doesn't even have anything close to his Raph's 6B plus K.
yeah,
And
no, she doesn't have like the same level of like you block this move, get fucked, idiot.
yeah,
Um, because like the thing is like with Amy is when I consider her Oki, a lot of times when I block a move on her Oki, it's like fuck it, the situation is not that bad. But when I block a like Raph attack, like when I block when I block 6 people's K on Oki,
mm.
I'm shitting myself because he has Quick Parade, he has Shadow Evade, he has Mash. Like
Yeah,
he's plus on block with Shadow Evade and Quick Parade. Uh, the character shits out damage in Soul Charge. And doesn't require him to spend time getting roses. like that's the worst part. Like
mm.
I'm comparing her mentally to Red Rose Amy right now, and I think he's better. But then he doesn't even have to get red roses. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I feel like for Oki though, like without roses, Raph's is better, but with roses, Amy's better. Like the threat of getting picked up by 4BB in a lot of situations kind of
Yeah,
makes it a lot harder.
there are some knockdowns with Amy where you just have to hold 4BB with Red Rose, but she has plenty of knockdowns where you could back roll almost every single option. And the only thing that she can do is she can't hit you for it, but she can do like I think it's like 2 through 6, whatever that like horizontal low guard break is.
AMS A plus B.
I think yeah, 2 through 6
AMS
A
is
plus B.
236. Yeah.
Yeah, so 2 through 6 A plus B. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I mean,
Is that let's see. Wait, what'd you say? Mina IVC Grow Yoshi 2B lower, Geralt serve Hilda Asta higher?
I still think that Serby is fine where he is. I don't think he's a top 5 character. I think that he's the type of character that you need to, when you fight players who are exposing Serby's weaknesses correctly and dealing with Serby's weaknesses the best way, or you're fighting specific matchups where it feels really fucked up to play Serby, I think it becomes very apparent that this character like isn't a top 5 character. But I mean that's just me. Like I still think you have to play some matchups with Serby to really get that opinion. And some players just know that matchup well enough to really expose his weakness. And I don't think it's a weakness that is super difficult to implement. I just think that it's not very apparent. I think it's very easy to fall into this idea that you're supposed to run up to the zoner, right? Like when Serby's trying to keep you away and zone you out with A6. I think it gets into this mentality that you should be running up to this player, but I don't think you have to. I think if your character has long range tools, then you could just poke at Serby himself instead of running up to Serby when he has a life lead. And if he has the life deficit, I think it's really hard for Serby to approach characters with good zoning tools. Yeah. I think he fucks up some matchups. I think some of his moves are retarded. His grab game is great. His character is not weak. He's not bad. His soul charge is broken. But he still is just weak to backstep.
Like I feel, but like how can you really poke at Serby from long range? Like there aren't really that many characters who are like a threat outside of like counter hitting long range movements with like Mina 6A. I guess.
Okay. Let me think about it. I think that characters that can poke at Serby from long range. I think that Mina can. I think that Ivy can. I think that Siegfried can. I think that Maxi can. I think that Nightmare can. I think that Geralt can.
Maxi can in neutral?
In the case of Maxi, it's less so that he can poke and more so that he can hit Serby and or at the very least put buttons into Serby from a distance.
Oh yeah,
that don't impose a shit ton of risk. If you whiff, or at the very least if I block like a tip range 4-4B, or if I sidestep a tip range 4-4B, I don't really have much to do to you if I don't have meter. If you 2-2A me, like I'm never gonna AA into 2-2A. I can't react to that yet. But like even if I did,
Well,
I don't think that's like that bad of a button to put.
it's yeah, but it's not about like what you can do or how this character impacts
They
this
are good on block, but
individual
I'm not gonna punish them with
matchup.
Survey.
Yeah, but it's like it's a bad situation, or like at best reset to neutral for Maxi on block at those ranges, and at worst it's like
At
a
worst,
bad
I'm in your
situation.
face. Like at worst, I've gained pressure and I'm in your face.
Yeah, so like
At best, we've reset neutral. But
yeah,
I think that having the ability to put those buttons into Survey from a distance is important. I think that combine that with good backstep and good awareness of the situations that Survey's placing you in, and you're not really going to deal with very high amounts of risk. You're basically just going to be put in the situation where he's going to try to grab you, he's going to 3B you. I think or he's going to 2A plus B you. I think it's very, 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 very difficult against players that are very good in the matchup to land 2A plus B lethal it. If you never mash on block, the only time 2A plus B lethal it will happen is during timing. It's very good what 2A plus B does. Because of that, it makes people freeze up more. You get grabs in.
That's what's good about 2A plus B is that like it's effective even when you're not using it.
Yeah. However, I still think that he suffers. He gets fucked up, I think, by Raphael at the moment. I thought that he beat Raphael in Season 1 by a small amount, and now I think that Raphael does really well against Serbi.
Why's that?
Just a quick parade. Like it used to be, because you wanted with Serbi, ideally because Serbi does not have a shit ton of block pressure.
Mm-hmm.
So the way I've always seen it is that Serbi versus characters with lots of block pressure and lots of like powerful offense has gone like this. Serbi gives up his turn constantly in a very obvious way. When he 2A plus Bs you, it is against Raphael at the very least, it is very clearly not your turn as Cervantes. If he A6s you, it's just not your turn against Raphael. You cannot sidestep 6BB. And as soon as you've accepted that you cannot sidestep 6BB and you're going to stand there and either guard or duck, suddenly 6B plus K right after A6 becomes super fucking real. And because he gives up his turn so often, he has to allow characters to run offense on him a lot more than most characters do. I think that I find myself that when I'm playing Cervantes, I am sitting there defending myself for far longer than most other characters are. I feel like I'm just like sitting there waiting for an opportunity more than when I'm playing someone like Nightmare.
Is that a bad thing though? Especially with like...
Of course it's a bad thing. Letting your opponent run an offense on you for a long time is always a bad thing.
Yeah, but it's like he's pretty good at dealing with that though, right? Like he's got the 2A plus B, he's got the great backstep.
The 2A plus B is not, it's an I-18. That's not a way to stop someone's offense.
But it's like the threat of it creates whiffs because people are going to be throwing shit out at a further range than they normally would without the threat of that.
I don't think 2A plus B is what creates whiffs. I think grabs and K2 and stuff like that is what creates whiffs, right?
I'm not saying
because they don't want to get poked.
I'm not saying that's the thing, like the main thing that creates whiffs, but it definitely can and does in some situations. I know it has, like when we play, like that alone.
The thing is, though, is that again, I don't know if this applies to like what I'm talking about in regards to offense. I just think that the more that you, as a character, clearly give up your turn, the more that you allow characters with a like shit ton of offensive pressure run their offense on you.
Yeah, but the whole thing is like risk to reward though, right? Like there's a lot of characters where it's like if you want to run your offense in neutral, then you kind of risk a lot where it's like, oh, okay, well I throw out this vertical that'll grant me say like
sort of
40 damage. It gets stepped. I get launched by Cervantes. That's a third of my life gone.
Like sort of like when I run up and I have like, let's say I'm a Servi and I want to pressure somebody, right? I'm going to run up and I'm going to do like B plus K and then I'm +2. And then after B plus K, I will either do another B plus K, which will, is inherently risky, or I will do a 2A or like a AA. There's no 2A plus B that exists here. Like you're not using A plus B to enact Survey's offense, and Survey's pressure game ends really quick. Like when he's pressuring the fuck out of you, it ends fast. If he does A plus B, it's +3, so you can mash because his I-14s aren't scary. You feel like you can just mash. However, when I'm Survey, and my opponent is -2 or -4, I don't 2A plus B because it's an I-18, and they're never going to use a move that gets lethal hit by 2A plus B there. They're going to just keep up their pressure, and there are characters in this game that can keep up their pressure with fast attacks that aren't severely negative, and the only way to beat those attacks is you have to make the right defensive read of either crouching or sidestepping or GI. And I feel like against Amy, for example, against Raphael, against Cassandra, and against Talim, and Xianghua, and Yoshi, I am giving them the ability to pressure me constantly. I am allowing them to do it because if I want to enact any sort of offense against these characters, I have to give them the space to do it. I think Survey is good at making the game lame, and I think part of the game being lame is that both characters just give up their turns to each other often. However, I think that when the turns are given up often, I think that these characters do better with their turns than Survey does.
Yeah, like one thing to keep in mind though is that like, is there an increased risk in using those moves that allow you to keep your turn? Because I know there is for my character's case, and I know it's like that for others as well. So like when you are thinking of those examples, like is that something that's like taken into consideration?
Yeah, of course it is. Which is why Survey is an A tier and not like B plus or B tier to me. You know what I mean? Like I'm not even trying to downplay my character or put him like really low. I still genuinely think that season 1 Survey was the worst character in the game, or at least the second worst character in the game. And I do think that right now Survey is top 10 in season 2. He has received a significant amount of buffs to his soul charge, and I think that's where it really matters. I think the 3B plus K buff, or the 3B plus K as a move, wasn't like a big deal in the sense that like it significantly changed his output in tournament. It's definitely a much easier whiff punish than the IGDR, and I'm glad to have that when I don't feel like my execution is on point. But right now, if I see a whiff, I still will do IGDR more 3B plus K almost every single time. I think that 3-3B doing more guard damage by 6% is huge, but at the same time, like I would still use. I would still use it. I mean, no, it's -8.
What, 3B or 3-3B? Oh, okay, my bad.
It's either -8. It's -6 actually. It's just like even his 3B, yeah, like his 3B is -14. Like it's quite a bit more punishable than other ones. It has no tech crouch frames. It has no tip launch. It just does a lot of damage.
Yeah, it's a lot compared to the standard 3B.
Like, also, like it's 80 damage when you get like the perfect version of IGDR, and then it's like 72 damage when you don't. There are some characters in this game that still get like 60 damage 3Bs. I know like Zas gets like a 60 damage 3B. I think Red Rose Amy gets like a 65 damage 3B.
Yeah, so you're talking about like the upper end of shit, and then even compared to the upper end of like 3B damage, Serve is still like a huge outlier compared to those on his 3B.
He's an outlier, but then when you look at the properties of his 3B, it's like an outlier in terms of how bad it is compared to the rest of them. It's slower than the rest of them, with no tech crouch frames and no tip launch.
Like, so, yeah, there's no tip launch.
So when we compare it to like Keelik or Grow 3B, both tip launch and are faster. They do less damage. His has no tip launch and is slower, does more damage.
But it's like, does Serve really need the tip launch when he has things like 3B plus K and IGDR?
He doesn't need it. I'm not asking for it, and do I want it? I'm just saying that like it's an outlier in terms of damage, but it's also an outlier in terms of like weaknesses.
Well, yeah. Like, there's that. I just feel like the damage really outweighs the weaknesses.
The application of it, though, you have to keep in mind, like, I can't use my 3B as often as some characters can use theirs.
Oh,
There are some characters in the game that can use their 3B far more often than me and in much more situations than me.
Yeah, like Taki, of course.
Like Taki can, even like Aquila can do his 3B on tip and doesn't have to worry about getting punished and will get a launch. Like they will, you know, like they'll just do it at tip range when you're about to wake up, and just if you block it, so be it. You'll run up and get pressure, but if you don't block it, you might get rung out or wall splatted. I just think that the application of Zervi's 3B is not as applicable as everyone else's, and what it gained as compensation for that is it does a fuck ton of damage at close range. And that's a good thing. It's good that it does a lot of damage. I don't know if I would want a normal 3B, like a grow 3B or something.
No, I wouldn't.
Maybe. I might, actually, having a tip range launch, I would totally sacrifice 30 damage for as Zervi.
Really?
Yeah, I would 100% have a tip range launch 3B that does 58 to 60 damage, then a no tip range launch 80 damage 3B.
Even with 3B plus K and IGDR on this kit?
Yes, 100%.
Why is that? Like, I feel like those really make up for it.
My biggest weakness as a toolkit is I don't know what to do when someone is mid-range to far-ranged, and I find myself catching people with tip range 3Bs constantly. However, I find myself launching people with, like, my 3B kind of rarely at times. And, of course, I could always just, like, do IGDR off a sidestep punish instead of 3B. I would like happily just start learning to do sidestep IGDR instead of sidestep 3B.
Yeah, so I feel like we should be talking about the character's potential and not like how you're
3B is
playing
better
him.
than sidestep IGDR, right? So like if you sidestep 3B versus like sidestep IGDR.
Yeah, but if it's gonna be at 3B tip, then you would want to use something like 3B plus K or IGDR.
Well, no, I'm just talking about like why I would be willing to give up my 3B launch damage, because I could just replace it with something else.
Like, yeah, there's that. Like, but still, I feel like his 3B would be better than most of the rosters because of that damage.
Like, his 3B is one of the best in the game because it does 80 damage.
So
like it's just one of the best in the game. I don't understand.
So yeah,
I think I might have lost track of where the point of the argument is. I'm not
yeah,
trying
me
to say
too.
It's weak. Like I'm just talking about like why I don't think Zervi's top 5. Like for all his strengths, there are weaknesses imposed to the character.
I think he's definitely a candidate for top 5. But
also, another thing is I think that his poke game, like 66K, right, is like an outlier here, but all of his buttons fucking take forever to recover on whiff. Except for 66K and like 3K. Because like his AA takes forever to recover on whiff. His 2A plus B is significantly whiff punishable.
2A?
His 66... 2A, yeah. His 2A is fast as well. Like, it recovers very quickly. But like, his 2A plus B takes forever to recover. His 66B takes forever to recover. His A6 takes forever to recover. 66A takes forever to recover. Like... And then I compare it to like a character like Geralt that has like moves with as much range or as much applicability that just recover way quicker or have an extension like 6BB. That makes me not want to like hit into it. Yeah, we explained why Zas is the best.
I think that's like his whiff recovery is pretty standard. Like, to be honest, it's just like the characters you're comparing them to have.
I think it's very standard. I think he recovers on whiff slower than Cassandra, Sophie, Xianghua, Geralt, Mitsurugi, Tira.
Yeah, so like just naming those, that leaves him actually above average.
Yeah, out of all the characters that just like they are above average, but like those are the most comparable characters to Zervi anyways. They just play normal Soul Calibur for the most part. Yeah,
so
even I think Hilde recovers faster than Geralt, or at the very least, like if she is recovering slower, she's recovering slower from way farther away.
You also gotta keep in mind, like, okay, say you're whiff punishing A6, right? You're gonna be probably at bare minimum range too, because there are times where you're at range 1 and A6 still catches the backstab. Like that happened to me not too long ago.
No, I did not think that Helix 3B did 60 damage. I did think it was I-18 though.
Yeah,
I've always known that Helix 3B does like 49.
So like there's that, and like in general, longer range moves are gonna take more time, or they're gonna be slower in general. So in order to whiff punish that A6, like you're gonna have to rely on slower things. So it kind of makes sense that that move does have the whiff recovery that it does. And the same with like 2A plus B. Like that move is pretty hard to step in a lot of situations.
I never said that. If you want to like clip me saying that I said Amy's 3B is I-18, please do, because I did not think I ever said that.
I don't remember him saying that. Yeah. But like I feel like his whiff recovery makes sense for his kit though.
Yeah, his whiff recovery makes sense, but it's a weakness. It makes sense, but it is a weakness of the character.
It's pretty average. I wouldn't really consider something that's average a weakness.
I think a lot of Survey players have expressed that they feel like his what's it called, whiff recovery is like very fucked up.
Like
on it's significantly moves? It's significantly worse on like 2A plus B and A6 and 6B than a lot of other characters with similar tools. Like his whiff recovery on 2A plus B takes forever. His whiff recovery on like 6B, like when you compare it to like another character's like 6B, it recovers really slowly.
Like I don't know, maybe I just don't really notice the difference. But like when I look at the recovery animation and like, oh well, I can use my I-24 on this. Like I feel like there's not too many. Like which is like how it is for most of the roster.
I think Taki is the best 3B, by the way, Florida. Anyway, so like, yeah, I just don't think Survey's a top 5 character. He has a lot of strengths. And he's really good now. And I think that partly why he could even be considered a top 5 character, or like argued to be there, purely exists in A6B and Soul Charge. And even with that being like a case, I think that there's characters that just are better than him, and I think that those 5 characters are better. I do think he's better than Ivy, though. Actually, looking at the tier list one more time, I've always argued that he's better than Taki.
Like I don't know. I feel like I can name service weaknesses way easier than I can for Ivy's. But actually, can I? Not really, because
it's not even about like naming the weaknesses for me. I think that Survey is inherently not as risky as Ivy. I think Ivy's just more risky than Survey is.
Ivy's definitely riskier.
And I think that they both do a comparable amount of damage when they make a correct read on their opponent. And if that's the case, if they both have the comparable amount of reward, but Survey is less risky, I feel like Survey's better.
Oh, but there's also different strengths and weaknesses though. Like Ivy's, like at least for a decent amount of characters, like if you have Ivy's back to the ring edge, like you're gonna have to stop playing the game to a certain degree.
Like, yeah, to some degree, you kind of have to stop that against Survey too. If you have him back to a wall, you have to stop playing the game to a certain degree if he enters wall stance.
But and like
he does have a reverse ring out.
That degree is definitely not even close to me.
So you think Ivy's stronger than Survey?
I think they're about equal. Like
okay.
Here, I'm trying to like just formulate my own opinion on that, because yeah, at the end of the day, like I'll still feel like they're around equal, but I feel like I don't know, like Ivy's definitely gonna mix your shit better, and Ivy's definitely gonna have the range pressure advantage, and
Ivy definitely has better Oki.
You think so?
But yeah, Survey's Oki's really good this season. Because of 3B and just a few situations that people are focusing on 3B force blocks now. But Ivy's Oki has always just been really fucked up because no matter what, you can never roll it. Ivy's Oki is, I might even argue, as being the best Oki in the entire game.
There's some things you can side roll at certain ranges, like, and
Uh,
also if you roll forward on them going for the 2B plus or yeah 2B plus G mix, I believe. Like, yeah, just roll forward on that, then she's gonna die.
but then she could just 4b8. You just like do 4b8, or she could at the very least like no, there's just a ton of options on her Oki. She has ground hitting lows. She has like just 4b8. She has 1k if you decide to roll at close range after some things.
Yeah,
Like if you'll be standing up into SS's or CS's constantly.
like there is that. I feel like her bread and butter is leaving her opponent at like a long range way more than Serve does, and Serve having like 2A plus B and all that, and like uh risking like K2 or waking up into a throw or things like that. Like I feel like that's more impactful than Ivy's would be.
I don't know. I think waking up into just 4b8 or SSCS, just ground hitted buttons. Because like the thing is, the worst part about the situation with Ivy is when you do get hit by that one low poke, you're in that situation again. Like she's reset her Oki on you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with Servi, if you've decided to roll and then you get like clapped by 2A plus B ground hit, like ground hit, not woke up and then got hit by 2A plus B,
Yeah,
his Oki's over. Like that's it. You Bakukemi and neutral is reset.
but if he
At
runs
best, he's going
forward,
to run up,
yeah,
but then you have frame advantage. Like, so it's just a matter of like, in the case of Servi, I think his Oki ends pretty clearly. Also, 3 through B force blocks exist on very few moves. It exists on 3B plus K. It exists on B2, and even that one actually B2 isn't like totally real. To have 3 through B, it exists. I believe it exists after A slide B air hit when 3 lands as a move.
mm.
It's not real after 1B. Like if he ends his combo with 1B instead of 2B plus K hold, 3 through B is not real there. Like there is, you could just side Ukemi.
Like, yeah, I feel like that is something that's
And yeah, I
important
mean
to
it's
bring.
true. You could escape it after 3 plus K, but that choice to escape it is garbage. That's a really like forward Ukemi GI before you even see the move come out is like, because
Yeah,
if he just did 3B plus K and ran up and did nothing,
that's like a
then
long set thing. Yeah,
yeah.
and yeah, I feel like Taylor should be based completely on tournament set length, like first to two, first to three, and primarily first to two because that's what most tournament games are gonna end up being.
Yeah, I think I'm content with this placement. I don't think Servi is as good as some people say he is. I know I have a few allies in this and many enemies in that opinion in Servi not being top 5, but yeah. And I
Yeah,
know that just as well you have many enemies in regards to like Maxi being B+. However, I agree. And I know a lot of like good players would agree there.
yeah. Oh man, I remember like closer to release when like everyone was on Maxi's ass. I'm like,
Oh, so you do think Servi's better than Ivy now?
yeah, I'm convinced.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think Servi is better than Ivy just because he is way less committal than Ivy.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. And I feel like Serve has a better soul charge than Ivy, like almost by a pretty big degree.
I still really think that Ivy's soul charge is fucked up, but
Really?
yeah, I've always thought it's fucked up.
More fucked up than Serves?
Serve's soul charge is fucked up. But like they're just all fucked up. Like I don't know like how much more it matters. Yes, so it's less fucked up than Serve's, but it's still fucked up. Sophie's soul charge is arguably more fucked up than Serve's, or it could be less fucked up than Serve's, but it's still fucked up.
I feel like Serves is still more fucked up than Sophie's because like Serves is like it's kind of always had that defensive capability, but now he can pressure with that very well too.
Yeah, I agree. Party Wolf Serve is better than every character in that A tier. Except I also think he's just better than Sophie.
I think
Yeah, I
he
don't
is
know.
too.
I think Sophie's soul charge is better than Servi's, and I think her soul attack is better than Servi's. I think they both have the best soul attack in the game, though.
Yeah, I'll
They
give.
both have the best soul attack, and they both have arguably the best soul charge, and they're both really fucked up when they enter soul charge.
Yeah, I'll. It's kind of weird how soul attack works because there's some that are better on block than others are on hit, which is just wild to me.
You know what? I think I was the only one who explained my view on Cassandra's strength. Why do you think Cass deserves that spot?
For me,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, she got the new I-10 and it's +2, even though it does less damage. So there's that. Like DF just makes such a huge difference for her. Like mainly with the 6PB. Like it's kind of like the same reasons why she was good in season 1, but there's like a little bit more to that now, and just with like uh how it all panned out. Like especially with the I-10, I feel like the I-10A is one of the biggest changes because it lets her handle situations so much better and also keep it like frame advantage on top of that. But yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like just in general, Cass's main strength is maintaining pressure through her good frame data.
Yeah, I think the introduction of I think the biggest strength of Cass is I-10 combined with command grabs, combined with I think just some of the best on block frame data for moves in the game.
Yeah.
Like she just her frame data is oppressively good. I think it just really boils down to the more you just try to push her offense, the more risky she becomes to a sidestep or something like that. And her damage output fucking sucks when she doesn't have Divine Force.
I don't feel like it sucks, but like if you want to make up for it, you might have to like burn some of her
Oh yeah,
guard
she's
gauge burning
also.
moves.
It also feels impossible to guard break that bitch.
Really? Like even if they use her guard damage moves? Well, I feel like it's one of those characters that kind of incentivizes you to be a little more active in neutral. So like if it.
Because I always saw it as like the moment that she finds herself low on meter, she just sort of like expends Divine Force constantly in Soul Charge to regain like 15% guard meter back over and over again.
Oh yeah, that is a thing.
Like she'll just like pop Soul Charge, and then you'll block an explosion, and then you might dodge a lightning bolt, but then she's recovered really quick, and then she'll do the tornado and be plus on block. You know what I mean? And then she's regained 40% of her guard gauge for doing that too.
Yeah, so there is that. And I feel like that completely makes up for her having to spend
Okay,
her
so she's regained
guard
30%
gauge.
of her guard gauge. Yeah. So it's just like, oh, and then if you break her guard, she has a. Do you know that lethal hit?
Uh,
It's that new
it's
move that she got. It's like that mid horizontal from crouch attack that's like super fast.
I don't think I've
Where
seen that too often.
if you break Cassandra's guard, she has like this super fucking quick mid from crouch that is I believe a horizontal that just like does like 80 plus damage with meter, fucking lethal hits the living
Jeez.
fuck out of you, and that's your punishment for breaking her guard. That move is insanely easy to land too. Like it is so easy to land that attack.
Yeah, like I'm just not a big fan of things like that, like Tira's gloomy thing for winning the round before, or like what else is there? Like just comeback mechanics in general. Like
Also,
the condition is I got fucked up and now I benefit.
yeah, her while standing B is also baby tier.
Oh yeah, that yeah, it's a really good thing to fish with.
Yeah. All right, so we've spent like 3.5 hours making this tier list. I am comfortable with where it stands now. I
Mm-hmm.
am happy to know that there are people who might disagree because that's good conversation for later.
Yeah.
I'm also happy to see that plenty of people disagree, agree. I mean, uh, so yeah, we could save it. You could post it on
Mm-hmm.
Twitter. Um,
Yeah,
and
and
yeah,
just do the thing. Well, thanks for spending your time. We had some good ass discussions. Really
we did.
appreciate it.
I'm glad we didn't have one of our famous Rich Sticks versus EndersJ giant arguments.
I mean, it probably helps that both our characters are good now.
Yeah, I feel less salty.
Yeah.
So.
Like, so because that was usually like the main thing that it would be like, oh, my character's worse. Blah blah blah.
A lot
At
of my arguments from when Serby was bottom tier came from large amounts of penis envy, and by penis envy I meant like I wish my character was stronger envy.
Yeah, so there's that. I still feel like season 1, like, I don't know if he was the worst though, because like,
We're
yeah,
gonna have this argument. Let's fuck go, bitch. All right.
We don't have to make it that long, but yeah, like, thinking about it, you know, like towards the end of season 1, where like the top players of every region were throwing out their tier list. Like, I only found that Maxi and Tira were the only two in common that were consistently at the lower side of them.
I mean, yeah, that was true. To be fair though, I think that well, no, I mean like every region had one strong Cervantes player. Asia had Chen Chen, Europe had Kiradems and even Hedgies, and then for the US there was like Hates and me,
Yeah,
Sultan. So every region had a strong Serby, so I guess there was representation. I just think man, that character was a bugged out mess. His soul charge was like actually, I think the worst soul charge in the entire game, hands down, in season 1. That shit was retardedly bad.
worse than X?
Fuck yeah, worse than X. What?
Okay. Like legit. Whenever
why
X
is
pops,
X's soul charge considered to be bad? I don't understand.
like, I don't know.
She has an I-10 counter hit fish that does over 50 damage.
Yeah, it's just like,
creates,
why are you gonna want to press into that soul charge so much? Like, I feel like it was relatively easy to turtle up on compared to
I don't
a
know,
lot of
man.
soul charge.
That thing had like a bunch of mental frames. Like it wasn't like a very good soul charge. It wasn't a very impressive soul charge. But man, that soul charge was not as bad as I am a living gimmick of a soul charge with Servy's old one. Like Servy's old soul charge was basically all I'm good at is teleporting away from you and doing Dreadstorm. Like that's all I'm good at. Is I just teleport, Dreadstorm. Teleport, Dreadstorm. I guess like he was good at sidestep punishment. Like, right? Because like that was the funniest part to me is like, what is Servy good at? Oh, sidestep punishment. Sweet. How much damage does it do? 80. All right, he pops soul charge. Now what is Servy good at? Sidestep punishment. How much damage does it do? 101. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I popped meter to get 21 damage on my sidestep punish.
It also
Sick.
like you could also do a lot of 3BB force block setups too to continue that pressure. So
you could backstep after blocking it for free.
I mean, yeah,
like
but if you're like
yeah,
chasing after a backstep, then you're gonna be plus there.
I just yeah, his soul charge was so fucking garbage. I really wish that they had made it stronger in a way that wasn't stupid, like A6B, but
yeah. Well, yeah, I think we're just gonna disagree with that to the grave. But it's season 1, so we can just leave it at that.
Stop liking the things I don't like.
Yeah. But
all right.
hey yo, you too, Master CJ. Yeah, once again, yeah, just thanks for coming through, spending your time. It's been almost 4 hours. That's insane.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah.
Oof.
Like
a lot of work was placed into this tier list.
Yeah, and I never felt bored. So yeah, it was really good.
Me neither. Time went by really quick. All right, guys. Have a good one. Peace.
See you guys.